Well, we are back live for the afternoon of Nevada versus Duane Keith Davis, aka Keithy D, in the Tupac Shakur homicide over 30 years ago. This is day one of the trial. Jury selection was last week. They have seated a jury. We had opening statements this morning, and we had two witnesses so far. Yeah. And we're just waiting for them to come back. They said 4:15. We're just a few minutes early on that. So if you have any questions, those of you coming in live or those of you watching above, you want to send me a message in the comments or by any of my socials, I will answer you. Hey there. Thank you for joining me, Shil, Grace. It's good to see you guys coming back in. Thanks for the ordering. Always good to have an ordering. Yes, I have been collecting orders lately. They are definitely good for my soul. The orders are so playful and they just know how to live their life to the fullest. Quite inspirational, I might say so. So, anybody have any questions on where we are up to now? Just let me know in the chat. You can just tag me or just write it. I can see all the chats. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick all at the same time. And as I said, I definitely wanted to go live for the very first day, but we will have all of the trial available in the playlist, whether I am live or putting it out as a recording. It will definitely be every single day. But depending on how many people actually want to continue watching this trial, it is a big trial, and there's lots of people doing the feeds. Okay, lots of people are doing commentary during the lives, I do want to get back into doing that here and there, but this trial itself is supposed to be 4 weeks. And we all know that can be quite cumbersome. I'm going to do as many as I can, I think, for important witnesses or here and there to give you guys, the ability to be able to come into the chat and ask questions and say how you feel about it. I know that many of you have messaged me that you missed that. And so I'm trying to accommodate like both types of subscribers. I have tons of subscribers that just like the video portion that they can watch any time of the day or night that they like. And I can understand that. But I do have a good portion of you that do like the live streams. They do want to interact. And I have to say, I do miss interacting with you guys on a regular basis. That's always been part of my joy in doing true crime, so to speak, or covering court cases and doing, some explanations and commentary on the legal process itself. Just interacting with everybody on it, seeing it from your side, researching things together, finding angles that are interesting and just having good conversations about everything. I miss that part too. I really do. Some of you are in my Discord. Everyone's welcome in my Discord. Who is a channel member, Twitch or Kick follower? Send me a DM down in the description. You will see that my Discord ID is listed. If you're not already in that Discord and you just show me your follow, or if you're already a member, you can go to the posts on the YouTube channel for members only, and you will find the Discord link right there for you. And you can come in. If you go by a different name than your YouTube, just identify yourself to me. It's all cool. But you will find much more detail on cases in the Discord than I can keep up with. We're following up 20 plus cases at all time, trying to get you as much information and keeping things up to date. We've been following this one on Duane Davis, Keithy D, in the Tupac homicide for a couple of years now, since his arrest. So there's a playlist listed in the description also, for those of you that want to catch up on some of the battles. He has gone through quite a number of attorneys. He's gone through another trial based on an event that happened while he was in prison. There was a fight. He was found guilty of actually being an active participant in not the and actually accused of starting it. And he is now. This is Tupac's family sitting behind the prosecutor's desk, by the way, coming up on the screen here. They don't have the volume up yet, but there are members of Tupac's family. There are a few of them on the witness list. His sister, a cousin, I believe they said his brother, several on the witness list. I don't know if they will testify, but they have been in court. And they plan on being in court, even though this is very difficult for them. They put out a statement about how difficult it is to sit through a trial, but they feel they owe it to Tupac, and they will support him for his justice any way that they can. And so, our hearts go to how difficult it is for the families to do this. This is part of the process where they put the defendant first and worry about his rights. But we all know that we have to protect the dignity and the rights of not only the deceased, or the victim in this case, but that victim's family as they go through this process. So, I would imagine they have feelings about how long this has taken. And that this is very strange to be 30 years later sitting there with this man, right there at the other table, who has bragged about this case for years in the public. And now they're sitting in a room with him. It takes a certain amount of courage and strength, as I think you all can imagine. Let's just make sure that. Okay, I have the volume all the way up. Once they put the feed on, we should be able to hear clearly. I do hope the afternoon feed is as clear as this morning's was. This, to me, this is one of the better feeds out there right now. Again, that is showing on the screen right now is Michael Sanft. He is the pro bono attorney who took this case just in the early spring of this year after KPD's last attorneys left for not being paid. And Carl Arnold also left for some disagreement about payment at the time. And he's had some trouble keeping attorneys. He had public defenders earlier on too, and there was an issue going on with that. In the very beginning, when he was arrested, his personal attorney was not able to represent him because he was not licensed in California or Nevada or wherever it was, Las Vegas. And then, he's had I think 7 different attorneys. I can give you a breakdown later on. Let me just pull that all up. I don't want to give you any false information is what I'm trying to say. Okay, his attorneys. All right. I did get confirmation that, of course, the name that Judge Kierny is pronouncing for the district attorney assistant, Chief Deputy District Attorney Binu Palel, did deliver the opening statement. He's working with Marc DiGiacomo on this case, and he is doing some of the witness interviews for the testimony. So you'll hear that name back and forth, but I have added it. I will be adding it to the description so that we can keep track of that. Okay, I don't know why the feed does not have sound yet. They have not turned it on yet. She's speaking to the bailiff. Okay, she's speaking to everybody, but she's not on the record yet, I guess. I don't know why they haven't done the feed. I hope I don't have to change feeds. We'll give it a minute. Okay, I don't hear it on this feed, but I hear that on another feed they do have it. They're checking mics. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear it now?
Okay, I'm talking normally now.
Can you guys have?
And now I'm trying to talk. And now I'm trying to talk.
Just let me know that
Any
you can hear it. Okay.
I thought I did. Okay, I'm talking, and now I'm muting. I'm keeping on mute.
Yeah, they're checking
Can you hear me?
technology here. I just want to make sure you guys can hear.
I'm on mute. I'm pressing the mute button.
Grace, I hear you. It's kind of disconcerting to see so many more watching than are talking in the chat. But that's the way it's been lately. There's a lot of people all over the country that watch at different time zones and things like that. And maybe they're just not comfortable coming in and talking to us. But I hope that you guys will, if you can hear me. Consider it. Again, we are live both on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. All at the same time. And we are platformed on other, we do have people sharing my streams on other platforms.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, we're on record in State versus Davis, C337407. We've gotten through some of our technical issues. Anything else we need to address before bringing in the jury? Okay, let's bring them in.
She's very efficient. She always checks with them before and after. Taking care of business. So looks like we're ready to go. Thank you for letting me know, Maya, that everything's loud and clear over there on Twitch. And also thank you for coming back. It's nice to see you for the afternoon.
He was wrong. To the party stipulated to the jury.
We do.
Okay, you may all be seated. At this time, the state may call their next witness.
Brent.
All right, Mr. Becker, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to have my clerk swear you.
Please raise your right
Yes,
hand.
ma'am.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Brent Becker, BRENT BECKER.
Thank you.
Sorry. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, you're retired these days. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what'd you do for a living before you retired?
I was a police officer for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
And what years were you with Metro?
I was there from 1984 to 2011.
And in September of 1996, what was your assignment?
I was a detective with the homicide section.
Do you recall how long you'd been with Homicide when you, in 1996?
I got into homicide, I think it was November of 1994.
Did you have a partner in 96?
Yes, it was Mike Franks,
And who was your sergeant?
Kevin Manning.
Sorry. Oh, he's gonna hold on a second. All right, he's gonna work on the echo. Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On September 7th, or into, I guess, technically into September 8th of 1996, did you get called out for a shooting that happened, well, ultimately determined to be happened at Flamingo and Cobalt?
Yes, Sergeant Manning called me. It was about 12:30 in the morning and I was asleep. So it would have been September 8th. And so it was around 12:30. So by the time I got up, got dressed and got there, it was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning on the 8th.
And when you say you got there, what scene did you go to?
Initially, from what I recall, I went to Harmon in the Boulevard because that's where general assignment and everybody was at to get debriefed on things and get some of the notes. And then from what I recall, I went over to Flamingo and Cobalt to kind of look at the scene, but they had some witnesses from the car that supposedly was directly behind Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur back at Harmon and the Boulevard that I needed to interview.
Can we talk a little bit, first of all, Tupac Shakur is still alive on September 8th of 1996, correct?
That's what I was told. He had already been transported. He was not at the scene when I got there.
Is it somewhat unusual for Homicide to be involved in a situation where there isn't a deceased victim yet?
That was very unusual. And normally we don't get called out, at least at that time, we didn't get called out unless there was a deceased victim. So it was unusual. I think when we arrived at the scene, we were told that because of the nature of who the victim was, general assignment wanted us to come out to it.
So let me ask you, we've heard from a first responder today. Back in those days, what was general assignment? What does that mean?
General assignment was in essence, the night detectives. They worked swing shift and graveyard shift. So they were the night detectives that if something needed a detective to respond, they were the ones that got called out to the scene.
So they would have been at this scene before you, and then they made a determination along with, I assume, the command staff that Homicide should be called out to this investigation.
Correct. Actually, uniformed officers would have been the first people called to the scene of anything. And general assignment, I'm sure, was monitoring the traffic. So if they had heard the call, they may have been responding, but they would have gone out, assessed the scene, and eventually determined if someone, the type of scene it was and if someone needed to come out to it. And in this case, I guess someone must have called Sergeant Manning because he's the one that called us.
And your partner, Detective Franks, do you recall where he responded to?
I believe he got sent directly to a University Medical Center, the hospital, which is where Shakur and I believe Suge Knight got sent to.
And your responsibility, was there also crime scene analysts that were called up to the scene?
Yeah, my initial response was to the scene to start handling things directly at the crime scene, yes.
And then does at some point crime scene analyst Dan Ford show up and document the scene while you're present?
Dan Ford was already there from what I recall. They were called CSAs back then, I believe. Dan Ford would have already been there. Usually CSAs, because CSAs were assigned to each shift. So I'm pretty sure he was that particular shift CSA. He would have already been out there doing whatever he did for the scene, marking it, taking photographs and such.
When you, at the end of sort of both the two scene investigations, so the Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard, as well as the Flamingo and Koval investigation. Essentially, what was the facts you were dealing with?
Well, according to the witnesses that I had interviewed, Frank Alexander, Malcolm Greenidge, Katari Cox, and Yafu Fula, and I'm just doing what I remember the pronunciation was. They were in the car behind Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur. And what they described was that a white car, and from what I recall, they described a white Cadillac pulling up alongside Knight's car, and someone inside that white Cadillac opening fire or shooting into the car that Knight and Shakur were at. Their descriptions varied a little bit, but from what I recall, I believe they all said it was a white car and more or less agreed it was a Cadillac. And there might have been a little bit of a variance between 2 and 4 occupants.
And what direction after the shooting does the vehicle head?
After the shooting, it would have turned south on Koval. That was at Flamingo and Koval, because the Knight group was heading eastbound on Flamingo, and the Cadillac would have originally been heading eastbound, but then it turned southbound on Koval.
And the nature of the bullet holes that are in the BMW that's located at Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard, all those bullets appear to be coming in from the passenger side of the BMW.
The impact strikes that I saw were all on the right rear passenger door, the right front door, or the right front passenger door. I believe there was some sort of a mark or impact on the windshield. Those were the strikes that you could see. Like, you know, it was you couldn't tell if anything had been a stray of any kind.
So at your scene, you have bullets being shot from south to north into the passenger side of Suge and Tupac's car, but you have no idea how many actual bullets are fired because you can only see the strikes which are in the car.
Correct. All I can see is what the actual impacts are. That doesn't mean that's how many shots were fired. That's just how many struck the vehicle.
And I think we have another witness who's going to testify to this later, but there are a number of casings or cartridge cases, expended cartridge cases that ultimately get collected from the southbound lanes of Flamingo right before Koval. Is that correct?
Yes, without seeing the report, I know that there were fired cartridge cases recovered from the street. I do recall that the number of fired cartridge cases recovered from the street did not match the number of impact strikes on the vehicle, which wouldn't have been surprising considering what traffic probably was on Flamingo on a Saturday night, and probably the delay of anybody arriving there, at least from law enforcement.
What happens when, in your experience as a detective, there's a bunch of cartridge cases laying in a busy street and cars driving through? What can happen to those cartridge cases?
Well, especially prior to the uniform officers getting there, cars are driving over them. They're either getting caught within the tread of the tires, or they're getting thrown down the street or thrown into a rain gutter, or, I mean, they could go a lot of different places. We've investigated numerous shootings within streets where you've had fired cartridge cases scattered all over the place. And you never know for sure if you've got all of them, because if something gets caught within a tread of a tire and it doesn't get ejected, unless someone tells you about it later or it gets ejected somewhere else, who knows where it ends up.
In addition to that, when you have your shooter inside a vehicle, are there times that you found casings have gone into the vehicle that the shooter's shooting from?
Yeah, that would depend on if the shots were fired with the handgun inside the window of the car or if the handgun was outside of the window. Obviously, if the handgun is outside of the window, there's a higher probability. If it's a semi-automatic pistol, there's a higher probability that all those fired cartridge cases ended up outside. If the handgun is on the inside of the vehicle, you have a higher probability of some fired cartridge cases ended up staying inside the car. If it's a revolver, then everything is going to stay within the handgun.
Eventually, I'm kind of jumping forward here. Do you have those casings forensically tested?
The firearms examiner ends up testing them. I believe they were able to determine that they thought a Glock, it was going to be a 40 caliber. They were able to determine the caliber. And I believe, because I guess I'm not the expert, the firearms people are, but that a Glock has a particular marking that shows up, and I believe they determined that they thought it was a Glock that fired the weapon, that fired the cartridge cases.
So now you're looking for a white Cadillac occupied somewhere between 2 and 4 times, heading south on Koval, and a Glock 40 caliber firearm.
That was the information we had eventually at the time, yes.
After speaking to the witnesses, did you have any suspect information?
The only thing we had was 2 to 4 people, probably already all black males. The shooter, all we had was a black arm. There was a question of whether it was out the driver's door window or out the back window. There was a lot of questions. And this was strictly coming from the 4 gentlemen, Alexander, Greenidge, Cox, and Fula, from the car that was behind them. You got to realize, as I learned later, there was an entire convoy or entourage, whatever you want to call it, that had been behind them. And none of those people were around. Everybody had skedaddled before we got there, or at least by the time I got there. And so the only information we had was what General Assignment had acquired from, I believe, a couple of witnesses that they had talked to, and some of the people at the scene. I think Detective Franks talked to some girls later on that had been at the scene.
Now, during the course of this, you've mentioned Frank Alexander. Do you know what Frank Alexander's responsibility was that night in the car behind Suge and Tupac?
Frank Alexander said he was Tupac Shakur's bodyguard.
And Fula? I'm not even going to say them right either.
Pula and Greenidge and Qatari Cox were supposed to be part of the Outlaws. I guess it's like the group, I don't know if you call them the band, but the part of the group that performed with Tupac Shakur.
And those are the only 4 that stuck around by the time you got there and you were able to take statements from.
I believe they were the only 4. Plus, I know there were a couple other guys that are mentioned in the report. I think Kevin Woods was one of them. And I think they must have got stopped by General Assignment or somebody when Suge Knight had made the U-turn to flee or drive away and ended up at Harmon and the Boulevard. Everybody else was gone.
I want to fast forward a little bit. Did you learn of an incident that occurred at the MGM casino shortly after the Tyson Seldon fight?
we eventually learned that. No one claimed that night, but yes, there was a videotape that came about and information about a fight that was caught on videotape where a person was kicked, beaten down by Suge Knight and a bunch of other people in that group. Tupac Shakur was in the group, and Frank Alexander was off in the side.
When you learned about that, did you did Metro initially know the identity of the victim of that beating?
The only thing we had, I believe, was the first name of Orlando. One of the officers that was at the fight that night, I think they were working off duty, because we also saw some video where they had talked to the person. He was wearing a football jersey, and I don't believe there was a written down ID where the ID was obtained, but the first name of Orlando was on there. That was all we had at that time.
Did you make efforts to talk to Suge Knight?
I know that night at the hospital, Detective Franks attempted to, he said, and then I know that for 2 to 3 days after that, we attempted to, and finally were able to get him in and conduct an interview with him.
How did that come about? How does Suge Knight wind up at Metro?
Well, the first couple of attempts weren't very successful, put it this way. He didn't want to come, he didn't come in. In fact, I think the one time he was supposed to come in, he didn't show up. And then the night he did, I think it was 3 nights after, it would be in the report. When he did arrive, he showed up with David Kenner, David Chesnoff, and George Kalisis, who were all 3 attorneys who were his representatives, which we thought was weird because Suge Knight was a victim. And I think Reggie Wright Jr. might have been out in the lobby waiting. And then that's when we were finally able to conduct a taped interview of Suge Knight with his 3 attorneys present.
And what were your impressions from that interview?
Suge Knight was not the Suge Knight I expected. Everything, we had done a lot of research in the short time we had been involved, and Suge Knight was not a very timid person in the previous interviews we had seen of him. He was a very boisterous, in charge kind of guy. He was very timid. And to us, his interview was very practiced, and he was very timid, and I thought he lied to us. He just didn't know anything.
Your impression was he was withholding information about what happened.
He just basically said he didn't know anything. He couldn't recognize anybody.
A few days, or maybe a week even, does there come a point in time when you get contacted by law enforcement in Los Angeles area, whether it be LAPD, LASO, or Compton PD, that assists you in your investigation?
Tupac Shakur passed away on September 13th. We attended the autopsy, and we were later contacted. Well, I think there was probably some contact with other people within the homicide section. You got to realize there are people higher up than us, but eventually Tim Brennan from Compton PD, I think a Mike Coet, and Fontenot, something like that from Los Angeles County Sheriff's came down to exchange information, and that's when we showed them the videotape from the MGM.
And once you showed them the videotape from the MGM, were they able to identify for you, first of all, who Orlando was?
They immediately recognized Orlando Anderson. They told us that's Orlando Anderson.
And do they also identify some of the people that are with Suge that you didn't know might have been with Suge?
They recognized Suge Knight. I think they did by monikers, if I remember right. There might have been names. I think Buntry was in the picture, a guy named Buntry. There may have been some others that would have, again, it would be on the report because we did document all this.
Does Trayvon Lane sound familiar to you?
Yes, Trayvon Lane does sound familiar.
What about Neckbone?
They ended up identifying a bunch of people because we ended up getting a substantial amount of information from them.
Does there come a point in time when they let you know that basically there's something happening in Compton that might be really indicative of who may have killed Tupac?
Well, we learned that they had had a series of shootings occurring in Compton, and we're getting a lot of information from informants that was interesting to us. The problem was it was all from informants. We didn't have any actual people that would come forward and testify. So it was information we could use, but we didn't have any witnesses that would be willing to talk to us. It was all hearsay for us.
And before I get too far into the time you go to Compton the first time, were you able to identify that Suge Knight, Tupac Shakur, and their entourage was staying at the Luxor?
Well, yeah, we knew that after the beatdown at the MGM, they had all gone because the MGM security had videotaped or filmed the group going through the casino and exiting. And we got information that they went over to the Luxor where they had rooms because we observed or saw some videotape down in the valet area after they had changed clothes and were meeting down there for some vehicles where they had left to go to Suge Knight's house there in Las Vegas.
Judge, I have in my hand a certified record from Luxor of the reservations as 124. I'd offer it.
No objection, Honor.
So admitted.
So you mentioned something that I guess I should get to. Suge and Tupac's group leave the MGM, go to the Luxor, and then did you have law enforcement outside, not for this purpose, but did you have law enforcement working security near Suge Knight's house here in Las Vegas?
We did not, Homicide did not. Apparently there was an off-duty assignment at Suge Knight's community. I guess it's a gated community is where his house was at. And they were working off duty because of whatever the event was.
And so did you learn that after the Luxor, they went over to Suge's house?
Yes, we learned that they went over there. There was, I think, a gate log or something. And we learned that several people had gone over there, gone inside. And we eventually acquired that gate log. And then sometime after they had arrived at the house there, they departed. And
that's when the incident occurs.
That's not long after that is when the incident occurred.
All right, let me get back to Compton. At some point, do you get told that the Compton Police Department is going to execute search warrants on all of the Mob Piru and Southside Crip residences that they could identify as part of their investigation into the ongoing war now that's happening between Mob Piru and the Southside Crips.
It was kind of twofold. We were told that they were serving search warrants on all these locations for these different groups or gangs, but that there was also at least one murder warrant for Orlando Anderson that they had there in Compton. So it was our understanding that they were going to be arresting him on an outstanding murder warrant there in Compton.
Were you present in Compton when those warrants were executed?
Mike Franks and I did travel down and were present to witness the search warrants being served by Compton. And I believe I don't know if the Los Angeles County Sheriffs participated, the actual deputies. I know that their jail facility people were there.
And you talked about this before. That warrant, had you seen a copy of the affidavit for that warrant?
Yeah, I saw one way back in '96, and I think I've seen one here recently that you showed me that kind of refreshed my memory.
And within that, all of the witnesses are identified as CRIs. Do you know what they were calling CRIs?
What I was told is that it was called a confidential, reliable informant. I don't recall any person being named as a testifying witness to anything. It was all based on confidential, reliable informants that the search warrant was being based on, which I guess in some cases that's not unusual. I know narcotics cases do that quite often, but eventually if you're going to successfully prosecute a case, you need to have somebody willing to testify.
So on October 2nd of 1996, were you present on Burris Ave when Orlando Anderson's residence was, when the police hit it and searched that residence?
I can't tell you if it was Burris Avenue. I remember being somewhere where Orlando Anderson was arrested, yes.
And during that, did you find out information as to where Orlando Anderson was staying when he was in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, we kind of had an idea before that, but then when he was arrested, we kind of confirmed it that he had been staying at the Excalibur Hotel. We knew he'd been in Vegas because we had him on videotape, but yes.
Judge, I have in my hand state's proposed exhibit number 125, which is a certified copy of, or it's a certified record of the Excalibur I offered at this time.
You want me to approach?
Yes.
Okay, brief sidebar. It's interesting. This is a retired homicide detective. Quite interesting that Homicide was called in prior to Tupac passing. Like he was still at the hospital. He didn't pass until the next day, I do believe. So I think that's quite interesting.
That'll be a minute.
Odd.
Okay, now I'm going to try my best here to share my screen with you and see if we can. I want to show you just one little portion of this particular record. Oh. All right, share screen. And I guess I should have it up. All right, are you seeing my screen at all?
I see you. I don't see the document. Oh, wait a minute. It just flipped.
You see that document now?
Okay, yeah, I do see a document. It's a affidavit of custodian of records.
Okay, I'm gonna roll down here to page 2,
Okay, it's a receipt from Excalibur.
and then I'm gonna zoom in here, maybe. Oh, that's the search button. Is this gonna let me zoom in here? There we go.
I see some writing down there. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
right.
it zoomed.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get to that writing now that I've zoomed in.
Okay,
So on page
all right.
2 here, there's
I
some
see.
handwriting on there.
That's the Stardust and Monte Carlo.
You recognize that handwriting?
That's my handwriting.
So how does that handwriting wind up on this record? What do you do?
Well, without seeing a report, I wrote it on there. There's no doubt that I wrote it on there. The question is why I wrote it on there. It's dated September 8th. Says they're local calls, and I put Stardust for one phone number, and then the Monte Carlo for the other phone number.
Does that suggest to you you're looking to see who Orlando Anderson, what other hotels he was calling?
I'm wanting to see what the phone calls are, and the Stardust call is at 9:41. It should be if it's correct, 0941 is 9:41 a.m. and then Monte Carlo is at 0946. And then right after that is the Stardust again at 0947 again.
Now, there's been some discussions, and I guess we'll get to that when we get a little bit farther, but why don't we address some of that now? Was there a problem at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department of information related to your investigation being leaked publicly?
Well, I became aware that there may have been some information being leaked. I couldn't say who specifically was doing it, but I was becoming concerned to the point that in our office, we had shelves not behind my desk, but there were some shelves where a lot of the case files were stored. And once this case continued and the nature of who the victim was, especially when he passed away, there seemed to be a lot of interest in it, outside interest, especially with the media. And I became concerned about it. So I started locking my case files in my desk because I didn't want them to be available. Because I had left things on my desk, and a couple times I had found things different than when I left them, and it just bothered me. So that's why I locked them up.
Did there come a point in time when you started saving your reports to a different type of medium than just the computer?
Well, yes, there were some reports that I ended up not sending off to records because I was putting them on what we had then was called a floppy disk. I guess today they've got a lot different technology, but back then we had a thing called a floppy disk. Because we actually did some reports early on that I still don't know where they are. We did a PIN register early on that I guess nobody can find. We went looking for a vehicle on another guy that nobody can find. There's just a lot of things that disappeared. And some of them are reports that were before I even put them on floppy disk. So yes, I had some concerns.
Were you aware that some Metro employees sold a Polaroid of Tupac on the autopsy table to the Daily Mail?
I was, after we did the autopsy, I was outside the autopsy room. I cannot say that I saw a person take the Polaroid photo of Tupac Shakur's body. I saw somebody walk into the autopsy room where his body was at with a Polaroid. And then I don't remember how long after that a book was published by a Kathy Scott that had, it was a Polaroid photo of his body. It wasn't one of our photos of his body from the autopsy. It was quite obvious it was a Polaroid photo afterwards, because it was not a full photograph that we took. We didn't take those kind of photographs at an autopsy. We had no reason to.
But needless to say, you yourself had concerns about the security of the information as it relates to the investigation.
Yes.
Now, going back to exhibit number 125, it says on September 8th at 9:46 a.m., it appears the Monte Carlo was called, correct?
Correct.
And Judge, I have marked state's proposed exhibit number 126, which is a certified copy of a record from the Monte Carlo I'd offer.
Any objection?
If I can have a moment, please.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it got quiet. I think they muted for sidebar. But anyway,
Okay.
how
it'll be a
gross
minute.
was that? What they did with the
All
autopsy
right,
photo.
Detective, I'm going to try and do this. Change the screen for you and now put 126 up on the screen. Ooh. Apparently screen sharing has stopped. We put it up first and then now I got to go back to you and hit share. Can you see that now?
Now I do. There's a little delay, but it's a affidavit of custodial records again.
Now this is the Monte Carlo, and I'm going to jump down to the first page. There's a
Okay.
name, Corey Edwards, at
Corey Edwards.
1301 East Sloan.
Okay.
And it looks like he arrived and departed the Friday night before, the Friday the 6th into Saturday the 7th of September of 96. You see that on the right side?
I see that.
And I'm going to roll down here. A few pages in. Do you see? I could zoom in a little bit here for you.
No, I can see the writing. The Excalibur. Well, go back.
Yeah, I gotta go back.
It's zoomed too much.
There you go.
Okay, it's Excalibur, Sahara, and Luxor. No, that's my handwriting.
And so, does that suggest to you that you took this record and checked to see
Where those phone numbers?
the local
Yes.
phone numbers that are being called on it? And I'm going to roll down.
Yes. So the Excalibur was September 7th at 10:01 a.m. Sahara, September 7th at 10:26, and Luxor was at September 7th at 10:32 a.m.
Now, initially, did you have any idea who Corey Edwards was?
I did not have Corey Edwards' name until Compton gave us that name.
So now you're in Compton. You've executed search warrants. You learn about the Excalibur. You learn about the Monte Carlo and Corey Edwards. I want to kind of fast forward now. Well, you mentioned something about a pen register. Does there come a point in time when you guys learn about an individual by the name of David Keith that might have worked at the MGM?
Yes, we learned about him. Well, it would have been related to the pen register because it goes back to, I want to say, Yafu Fula's description when I took his statement. He gave a description that I recall. He described the driver of the Cadillac having a bitch face. That's the term he used. And I may have misunderstood the terminology at the time. I might have thought bitch face meaning a younger looking face at the time, because there were some names coming up and we had developed the name of Davion Brooks, who apparently was a Southside Compton Crip. And he was a fair-skinned black male, and I don't know, we thought he kind of was a bitch face. And he was the person that the pen register was related to in a place, it was south. I can't tell you the address right off the bat. It was south of Tropicana between the Boulevard and Koval. Because all we had, I think, was a cell phone or something, and we did the pen register, but David Keith's name came up somehow in that as a worker in Las Vegas. And for some reason, I'm going off the top of my head without the reports. He had I thought a full-size Blazer, because I used to own a full-size Blazer, and there was an address in Las Vegas and I know we went out and checked that address, but it turned out nothing was there. We couldn't determine anything, but that's how that all came about, David Keith. And I know that we ended up, because we couldn't find Davion Brooks, that at the time, I don't know what they got now, we had a thing called Scope, which the people would get their sheriff's cards or criminal history would go in there, and we could flag a person. So if they were stopped by officers or arrested, that we could be notified. And so we had flagged Davion Brooks. And I believe eventually we must have been down because I was out of town, but Mike Franks and Kevin Manning went and interviewed him.
So at this point, we have the names of Orlando Anderson, you have the name of Corey Edwards, you have the name of Davion Brooks, you have the name of Davion Keith. Kind of fast forward, but in November of 96, well, let me ask you this. Of all the people you interviewed in that car behind, was there anybody who said he thought he could make an identification?
Yafu Fula, from what I remember, thought he could ID someone possibly. I thought it was the driver, but I'd have to look at the report. He's the only person that thought they could possibly identify someone. I don't recall anybody saying they could ID the shooter. Frank Alexander, Malcolm Greenidge, and Katari Cox were more or less more of the dark arm kind of thing. When
in November of 96 in New Jersey, does something happen to Yafula?
Unfortunately, Yafu Fula was murdered. We were notified, I want to say it was Orange, New Jersey, somewhere in that area. We learned that Yafu Fula had been murdered. This was after we had made several attempts, because Death Row Records, David Kenner, who was the attorney, they had told us that if we needed to talk to anybody from the Outlaws or anybody, that we needed to contact them to make arrangements. And somewhere in the reports that there's several attempts were made to try to get a hold of Yafu Fula, and we got the runaround on that.
I want to fast forward to March 9th of 1997. Did you become aware that another famous rapper by the name of Christopher Wallace, also known as Biggie Smalls, also known as Notorious B.I.G., was killed outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles?
Yes.
And LAPD was responsible for that investigation.
Correct.
At some point, do you have contact with Fred Miller, one of the lead detectives from LAPD?
Yes.
And then shortly thereafter, March 17th or so, did you attempt to contact, well, let me ask you this, did you contact Frank Alexander to do photo lineups?
Yes. Mike Franks and I went down and we met Frank Alexander. If that's what the report said, it was around March 17th down in Orange County, somewhere, California. And I had taken probably, I think it was 10 photo lineups that we had prepared, because I had since the shooting and all, Frank had kind of turned around. I think he had gone cross with Death Row Records, and things turned around, and he was willing to meet with us, and that's when I showed him the photo lineups.
Judge and I talked to Mr. Sanft about not having to lay the foundation of each one of these with Mr. Sanft, but I have in my hand those 10 photo lineups, which are marked 76 through 85.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection to admission?
Yes.
All right, they'll be admitted then.
And I'm going to start with number 10, which is 85. Oops. I have to go in and out here a few times. But each of these photo lineups that you have done here, did you have a reason why you had these particular people in photo lineups?
Main players that were in these photo lineups were, well, obviously Orlando Anderson was in there because of the beat down at the MGM. I mean, and because of the information we'd acquired from Compton. Then the other people, I think Darnell Brim might have been in one of those because his name had come up. Duane Davis's name was in there. Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith. There's another Davis. I think it's Duane Davis's brother, or he's related to him somehow. Is it Kevin Davis, I think?
Let me just share
And,
my screen and we'll go through each one by one, okay?
Yeah. I just remember there were 10 of them, and there was each person that was in the lineup, there was a reason for them being in there, just to cover our bases. We had particular people we were looking at, but we wanted to cover the basis of everybody that had come up.
So on these lineups, this is page 1, page 2, and then on the bottom, page 3 has the names of the people that are in each of those positions. Is that fair?
Those are the lineup records, yes.
And so it shows on March 17th of 1997, you would have created the photo lineup record that's your name down there.
Yes.
And this one, the suspect is number 6, Duane Davis.
Yeah, and I guess I probably spelled his name wrong.
And if we go to picture number 6,
That's Duane Davis. He's younger. I mean, obviously, it's been a long
30 years
time.
ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Now, at this point in time, when you're showing these photo lineups, did you have a theory as to who was in this vehicle?
We had an idea from information. We didn't have anybody stepping forward to say anything in particular.
Okay. And who was it? Who did you think was in the car?
Well, the 4 names that we were leaning on was Duane Davis, Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson. Those were the names that we'd been leaning on. But again, those are just the names we had.
Right. You had no live witness to tell you.
No. We
This.
had.
You all had confidential, reliable, the CRI that
We didn't have. We personally didn't even have that. I mean, I guess everybody else did, but we didn't have a name that would step forward to say anything. And I believe the CRIs were even throwing out Darnell Brim and other people.
I'm gonna kind of go through each one of these, but there's one I want to show you, and you've looked at these 10 photo lineups recently, right?
Correct.
And then there's another 6 photo lineups that you have where there's just a handwritten log that goes with them, right?
Yeah, and after looking at those, I'm wondering if those are photo lineups that I did later, because the 4 girls that I think Mike interviewed that night at the shooting scene, I had attempted to get in touch with them, and I think I talked to a couple of them, and 1 or 2 of them lived in the LA area. And either, I think it was LAPD, we had sent some lineups to them to look at. Those might have been the lineups we sent to them, actually, because it was, 97 or 98? And I think technology might have got a little better by then.
So let me click out here. Judge, I have in my hand the log of 86, and then State Proposed Exhibits 87 through 91, which are the other 5 lineups, excuse me.
No objection. I'm sorry, no objection.
They'll be made.
Thank you. So let me start with the log for you, and then we're going to go back to the other ones for just a minute, but let me pull up the log first. Oops. I'm sure there's more technologically advanced if you were younger. If I were younger, if I could figure out how to do this easier, but
You're doing better than me, so.
these are the logs. This is the logs you wrote for each one of those lineups, right? So you had Orlando Anderson in one, Darnell Brim in another, Roger.
These are probably notes that I wrote down because we were just trying to put something together to send off. Because I'm seeing, Roger Williams would have been, wasn't a Southside Crip, from what I remember. He was a mob guy or something. He was the opposite of everybody else.
Roger Williams, do you recall his nickname being Neckbone?
Yes, because I think we got to talk to him briefly down in Compton.
The name Jerry Bonds was the name that was coming up?
Jerry Bonds was a name that came up very, very early on. And I think Compton had it. And as time went on, Jerry Bonds' name kind of was fading out. I think he's a South Side Compton Crip, but as things went on, his name just started disappearing, even from the informants.
And then the last one on there is Big Dre or DeAndre Smith.
DeAndre Smith, who is the guy that we think was in the back seat with Orlando Anderson.
Now I'm going to go to the DeAndre Smith photo lineup, and that's 91. And he'd be in position number 3, correct? Oh wait, you
guess
can't
so.
see it. I didn't share it with you yet.
Nothing's popped up yet, so.
Let me share it with you. But if your log has him in position number 3, that'd be him in number 3, correct?
Looking at it, yeah, that face kind of looks familiar. And that number 15 would be my writing. So this is one of the later photos. Yes. And this would, yeah, this is definitely one of the later photos. This is the one we had early on.
So now I want to go to photo lineup that you wrote as number 1, which is State's Exhibit number 76. Can't believe I have to stop the share every time, but. I'm going to zoom in here on number 2 and then share it with you here. Maybe. The person there in number 2, that appears to be DeAndre Smith, correct?
Yes, that's probably an early photo because what I'm looking at, I think, is probably, I don't know if those were California DMV photos or what, because from what I recall, we had to cut the pictures out because the backgrounds were all different colors and we were trying not to make different colors on the photo lineup so we didn't come into conflict down the road with anybody. I think Mr. Sanft would agree. If you have a yellow, red, blue, that causes issues. So that's why we did this. And this is all we had that was available at the time.
So I want to roll down here. The weird thing about this record is
Number 6 didn't have a name.
number 6 didn't have a name, but also number 2, even though it's a picture of DeAndre Smith, the record you have written is Andre Norton. Is that possibly an AKA for Mr. Smith?
Probably. We're talking what, 97? Yeah. Andre Norton. I'd have to look at his rap sheet. I don't know. But because there's no ID number over there, that's probably what it is. Because usually if there's an ID number, that's a Metro thing. And DeAndre Smith, whatever, wouldn't have had anything, because I don't think he had a history with Las Vegas.
Now, as I go through each of these photo lineups that you have, let's go to number 2, which is State's Exhibit number 77. And we roll down here. Oh, I guess I should share it for you so you know what I'm talking about. We roll down here, and position number 3 is Orlando Anderson. Is that right?
Okay, you're right.
And position number 3 is Orlando.
Yes, that's Orlando. He had a pretty recognizable face. And again, that would have been a similar deal where the backgrounds were all different colors. So that's why we had to cut him out.
And I'm going to share with you 78. And then show you down at the bottom. Darnell Brim's in position number 1.
Yeah, when I saw the picture, it looked like him up in the, something about the faces that kind of remember.
But that'd
Yeah.
be Darnell Brim.
That would be Darnell Brim.
Let's go to number 4. And if we roll down here, position number 5 would be Jerry Bonds. And if we roll up here, in position number 5, we have Jerry Bonds.
Correct. Yes. Okay.
Number 5. Number 5, we roll down to the bottom, which is State's Exhibit number 80.
That's Davion Brooks. Yeah.
Davion Brooks in position number 5. And if we roll up here, that's Davion Brooks in position number 5.
Yeah.
And that's the potentially young kid, based upon what Yafula said, that caused you guys to do the pen and all those other things.
He's the guy who did the pen register on. Yes.
Number 6. Oops. And this will be State's Exhibit number 81. I got to share it with you. We roll down here. David Keith is in position number 1. And so that would be David Keith.
Yes. And the reason we put the tape on there is I think those were probably ID numbers or something. So we're again trying not to create problems with the different booking photos or something. And I think, I don't know if this was a booking thing or a sheriff's card, but we just covered them up to lessen the conflict.
You learned during the course of your investigation that Mr. Keith worked at the MGM, which meant he must have a work card, ergo he must have a photo.
At a minimum, he had to have a work card, yes.
Hold the next one. Oops. Number 82. There we go. We roll down to 82, and in spot number 5 is Kevin Davis.
Kevin Davis, yeah.
And number 5 is a photograph of Kevin Davis.
Okay, yes.
And your understanding is that Mr. Davis, Kevin Davis, is Duane Davis's brother.
I think that's what it was. I knew he was a relative, but for some reason I thought they were brothers.
Do you recall a point in time when a .40 caliber Glock was found on Mr. Davis?
I don't remember if it was on him. There's 2 firearms that I can recall. I know that Mike Coet from the LA County Sheriff's Office had a firearm. If that was on him, then that would be it. He mentioned a Glock 40 and I had him enter those cartridges into what we had was drug fire then. I don't know if they still have it. And then I had our firearms people do the comparison on that.
And ultimately, that wasn't your murder weapon.
The firearms examiner said it was not the weapon.
And so, drug fire, which is, I think, the jury will hear later, is now called NIBIN. But drug fire was a way for photographs of casings to be put into a computer, and then somebody somewhere else could check casings that were found and see if they matched the same gun, casing to casing.
Yeah, the forensics guys that do all those firearms things, they know how to do all that stuff. All I know is if I get the information, I ask the people to enter it in to drug fire at the time, and then those firearms people know what to do. I depend on them.
So we only got two more here. Let's do your number 8, which is going to be my 83. In position number 2 is Terry Brown.
Terry Brown.
You see that right there? It says Terry Brown.
I don't see the photo lineup yet. I just see the lineup record.
Yeah.
Haven't.
Terry Brown would be in his photo number, would be in position number 2, correct?
Yeah, he's going to be in number 2. Okay. And I don't. Oh, there he is.
And
Yeah,
Photo number 2 is Terrence Brown.
that's the old photo. Yes.
And then the last record I have for you, Detective. Oh, I have to share my screen with you. Excuse me a second. State's exhibit number 84. You have Corey Edwards in position 3.
Okay.
And when we roll up here to position number 3, that'd be Corey Edwards.
Yeah. Does he always have that beard? I don't remember. It's been so long, but yeah.
Now, when you showed Mr. Alexander these photo lineups, was he able to pick anybody out?
He said he could not.
And do you know where Mr. Alexander is today?
From what I was told, he committed suicide, so he's deceased.
Did you attempt to show those photo lineups to Malcolm Greenridge?
I think it was the next day, because what started this was a newspaper article. So we went and met Malcolm with Reggie Wright Jr. And I think I learned later, because there was a report, that there's some other guy came with him. We met them at the Compton Police Department, and we sat down with Malcolm and we offered to show him these photo lineups. And Malcolm said he never wanted to see the lineups because he said he could never identify anybody. So basically, he declined to look at the photo lineups.
You mentioned a news story. What was in the news story that caused you to think you should go probably talk to Mr. Greenridge?
There was a reporter named Chuck Phillips that was working for the LA Times at the time that was, well, that's my opinion. Anyhow, Chuck Phillips was writing an article claiming that there were two witnesses that the Metropolitan Police Department were refusing to talk to, Frank Alexander and Malcolm Greenidge. When we got a hold of Frank Alexander and Malcolm Greenidge, they both stated that the words that Chuck Phillips used were not their words, that they had never said those words, and that Malcolm Greenidge said he said he could never identify anybody, so he had no reason to look at the photo lineups. Frank Alexander basically said the same thing, that the story was not the way he had told it.
Now, you were a homicide detective in Las Vegas, Nevada, Clark County, right?
Correct.
This crime appears to have come from Compton and returned shortly thereafter to Compton, right? All the witnesses, everything is there, correct?
Everybody that is related to this crime that we know of is coming from California, yes.
And so, are you a peace officer in California? You got the same powers you have here in Las Vegas?
No.
And how many times did you trip to California, generally, in an effort to talk to people about this particular case?
We made 10 to 12 trips to California. Not all of those trips were with law enforcement because there came a time where we weren't necessarily wanting to deal with law enforcement. So we went down there that many times to try and to contact different people. In fact, every time we went to California, we tried to contact Death Row Records, but got the runaround. So
ultimately, were you left with any avenue to further your investigation?
The only thing we ever got was we ended up the revocation hearing for Suge Knight, where I ended up providing a videotape of from the MGM for the DA's office down there.
Let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about that. So Suge Knight, at the time that he is involved at this fight with Orlando Anderson at the MGM, he is on probation, both federal and state probation in California, correct?
That's the way it was presented to us, yes.
And at that particular hearing, did he call a witness in his defense to claim he was trying to stop the fight?
Orlando Anderson was subpoenaed as a witness for Suge Knight, yes.
And did he testify that Suge Knight was trying to help him, not hurt him?
Orlando Anderson apparently, because I wasn't allowed in the courtroom, but apparently Orlando Anderson testified in court that day that Suge Knight was trying to help him.
And then were you the witness that laid the foundation for the videotape that disputed that testimony at that revocation hearing?
Because I had talked to Orlando Anderson in Compton the day of the search warrants, and he told me differently, I was there as an impeachment witness in case Orlando decided to tell the story that he did tell. And I testified that Orlando told me otherwise, that Suge Knight and Tupac had basically beat him down pretty good.
Thank you, sir. Judge, I pass the witness.
All right, cross-examination, Mr. Sanft.
Detective Becker, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just need to follow up with a couple things. Let me start off with this. So you talked a little bit about your powers as a police officer in Nevada. You had mentioned that those police powers end at the border of Nevada. Is that what I heard before?
Yeah, our basic law enforcement powers are within Nevada.
And and as a result, what that means is when you enter into another state, you're technically not a police officer per se. I mean, you are a police officer, but you don't have a jurisdiction. Is that how you would frame it?
Correct. If we were say to want to arrest someone in another state, I mean, you could have someone arrest them, but you'd have to go through an extradition proceeding to bring someone over to Nevada. So, and that takes time. It's not like you can just go grab a guy and bring him back to Nevada.
Right. Now, in terms of your work here on this case, I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on a couple things. We went through a lot of photo lineups, right?
Correct.
And you had referenced to me a little bit about the photo lineups, and fair to say, of course, you know, as a defense attorney, you want to make sure that each photo lineup does not suggest the answer to the question, right?
Correct.
So back in those days, you're cutting pictures, you're actually cutting photographs out and just pasting them in such a way to try to eliminate backgrounds and so forth, so that the person that's looking at the photo lineup won't be suggested as to what the answer is.
That's what our attempt was. Yes, sir.
Now, just for the jury's edification, when someone is being shown a photo lineup, they're in a room, they see the photo lineup, and then at that point, you wait for them to respond and see which one of the 6 people in there they recognize, right?
Well, you'd show the lineup and ask them if they recognize anybody in the lineup. That's, you don't say who in this lineup, you know, do you recognize? You just say, do you recognize anybody in the lineup?
Right, and the reason why you ask that question that way is you do not want to suggest an answer to your question. Or
Correct. You don't want to try and make them lean towards anybody in particular.
right, because there are instructions that are part of those photo lineups that say there may not be a person at all that we're interested in the 6 people that we present to you, right? You could have a photo lineup with nobody in it that you would have as a target. Fair?
That's a fair statement. Yes, sir.
Now, in this particular regard, once a person sees who that person believes to be somebody associated with whatever investigation you're looking at, they typically would circle the picture and maybe put down a percentage of how sure they are of that person being the person that's involved in something. Is that how that works?
Yeah, typically what I would do anyhow is I'd have them initial the back of the photograph, the particular photograph of the person.
Right.
And if there was a percentage, yeah, I would have them put that on there, say at 80%, 60%, whatever that is, you know, or 100%, whichever.
Now, of course, during this time period, as you are putting together these photo lineups, the majority of the individuals that the state identified in each photo lineup are people that are associated with Southside Crips. Would that be an accurate description?
I believe everybody was, I don't remember, was Roger Williams one of them? Because he's not a Crip. He's a Pyru or mob guy. So he's a Blood.
I think
But
they're
everybody else was a Crip, yes.
right. And so, because you were under the premise that there was a gang war, that the Southside Crips had actually shot at Tupac and Suge Knight because they were Pyru Blood, and so you were identifying just Southside Crips and putting them into photo lineups. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, we were using Crips because that was the information. Again, we were basing a lot of things off the information we were getting from Compton.
Right, and even so, even as you're receiving this information from Compton, even as you sit here right now, sir, you weren't comfortable necessarily with all of the information you were receiving from Compton, right?
We weren't comfortable with certain things in Compton, yes.
For instance, the way they were conducting their business as law enforcement in Compton was not the way you would recommend or know that Metro would do here in Las Vegas. Fair?
We witnessed a couple of interview techniques that we weren't comfortable with, yes.
Yes, sir. Now, in addition, as you are having these photo lineups, did these photo lineups ever go to anyone back in Las Vegas? For instance, we've heard some testimony from some females that were in a vehicle, some other people maybe that would have been at the scene. Were those photo lineups ever shown to anyone that was, you know, like the girls in the Sebring or anything like that?
That's where I'm wondering I think there was 5 photos later on that are shown, not the original 10. I don't remember the exact number, but there are 5 later photos. And I think I mentioned it during my earlier testimony that we sent to, I believe, someone in LAPD. And I know that of the 4 girls in the Sebring, I only think 1 or 2 said they were willing to look at the photo lineups. And I think photo lineups were sent to LA so they could show them to those.
And do you
1 or 2
recall?
girls,
Do you
yes.
recall what the results were of those photo lineups being sent to the girls in LA?
I don't believe they identified anybody.
And fair to say that in this particular regard, the photo lineup that shows Terrence Brown, no one, as far as you know, no one identified Terrence Brown as being in a vehicle, even in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996.
Yeah, if Terrence Brown was in one of those photo lineups, then he wasn't identified, correct?
How about DeAndre Smith? Was he ever identified by anybody in a photo line and his photo lineup as being present in Las Vegas, Nevada on September 7th, 1996?
I don't recall anybody being identified in a photo lineup.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, sir, your testimony was that you were the primary detective on this case originally.
Myself and Mike Franks, we didn't really have a lead, but yeah.
All right. You like drew the short straw basically on this one, right?
I guess I'm the guy that his name is all over everything, but yeah.
Well, congratulations. Let me ask you this question though. As a police officer, did you write reports of all of your activity that you did during the course of this investigation?
Anytime we did something, I did an officer's report. I know Mike Franks did several reports too, yes.
And would there ever be a time during the time that you were handling this investigation that you would have chosen not to have written a officer's report?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
No, if we'd have had a trip, especially any trip we did out of state, anything where we went out and did anything, I'd have done an officer's report. Back in the day, apparently they do things a little different. Even if it was a 1 paragrapher, we did officer's reports.
And as far as you know, based upon your knowledge of what happened to your file after you left, is the file complete in terms of your reports and what you did in this case?
I left, it was, yes.
Is it now?
I don't know. I've never seen the case file, so I don't know what it looks like now. I've heard rumors.
Now, the district attorney's office had forwarded over to you some documents to help you with your preparation for testimony here today, right?
Correct.
Were those documents all of the officer's reports that you wrote while you were on this investigation?
No.
Now, in addition to that, sir, you had testified a little bit about the Luxor, I think. You had mentioned something about there was some information that Tupac and Suge Knight had both had rooms at the Luxor. Is that correct?
That's the information we had, yes, sir.
Okay. In addition to that, was there any video that was captured of the vehicles that had gone to the Luxor to pick up Tupac while he was at the Luxor?
I don't remember a specific video of the vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, there was hearsay of vehicles, but I don't remember specific videos.
Now,
Off the top of my head, I don't.
right. And because you were the lead detective, of course, you're accumulating all of the information that's being gathered, sometimes from other police officers in furtherance of your investigation, right?
Yeah, if it's given to me, yes, and it's put into the case file, yes.
Right. And so with regards to the Luxor incident, you learned and you had put into your officer's report that Tupac Shakur was picked up with some people, looks like around 10 o'clock at the ballet. Do you recall that?
And I don't think I did an officer's report reference the valet. No.
I have a document here. Looks like your
Okay.
signature is at the bottom as the officer.
If you could show it to me, like I said, I've seen some documents from this that I don't recall, but if you have it, show it to me. I'd be happy. And
Do you want me to run it over for you right now?
yeah, if you
I'm
could
kidding.
show
I'm
it to
kidding.
me.
Let me do it. Let me
I just
do
don't
this.
recall it.
Now, I believe that we had submitted some documents for your review as well. Do you recall the documents that we reviewed?
I remember, because I remember you showing me a document from LA that I didn't remember too. So,
Right.
but it's
This
been a
would
while. So,
this would be titled the murder or attempt murder supplement. Do you recall that document?
okay. Wait a minute. Is this the report with Beard on it?
Correct. That's right.
Oh, okay. That report. Now I remember that report. Yes.
And I apologize if I wasn't clear enough.
Okay. I remember that report. Yes.
And in that report, for instance, there was a discussion about the number of vehicles that had pulled up to pick up Tupac. And one of the vehicles that was there was a Cadillac that was white with 4 black males in it. Do you recall that?
Correct.
Okay. So the way we're looking at it right now is Tupac comes out of the Luxor. He gets picked up in a long caravan of cars. And the last car is a white Cadillac with 4 black males in it. Right?
Correct.
Okay. And that's based upon your investigation.
Correct.
Now, in addition to that, we talked a little bit about the pen registers. Can you explain to the jury what a pen register is?
Pen register isn't the same as a pen register is more or less you're getting a number and you're more or less recording those numbers.
So
It's not quite the same as you're recording phone calls and listening to them, where in that particular case you actually have people in a room and they're actually listening to calls, and if the call is not pertaining to your investigation, you're supposed to turn it off and not listen to it. It's something that's not pertaining to it. And that a pen register is more or less information to record calls. It's a tool to assist you in your investigation if it turns out to be something that's valuable. That was the intent.
right.
When we did the pen register, we never got to do it because we did the pen register. You have to file it with the county, and lo and behold, the next day it was in the newspaper. So basically, it was a waste of time.
Well, I mean, for instance, the pen register would be you would target someone's phone number, right? And so
Correct. That was the intent.
And the pen register would record the numbers that were either going to that phone number or that phone number making phone calls out of that to other phones.
That was the intent.
Now, in this case, can you tell us, for instance, what KPD's phone number was at that particular time?
I couldn't tell you. No.
And with regards to the phone records that we had received, there were some numbers that were either from the Monte Carlo, and I don't know if it was from the Luxor, but do any of those phone numbers register back to a pager? Because this is 1996, right? So it's got to be a pager or maybe, I don't know. I don't know what was around 1996 besides the pager.
I believe those phone numbers were actually the phone numbers to the hotels themselves.
Right. And so outside of that, we don't have any fact that KPD's pager or phone number was either dialed to or received in from either the Luxor or the Monte Carlo, is what's been shared here today, right?
Not on those calls, sir.
Now, in addition to that, you had mentioned as well the search warrants that occurred in Compton. Now, these search warrants that occurred fair to say that they also, they were doing these search warrants to try to retrieve firearms to help quell or to suppress any potential violence in Compton? Is that the reason or purpose for those search warrants?
I don't know what, it was their search warrant. I can't tell you what the purpose, other than my understanding was there was an arrest warrant for Orlando Anderson. All that other stuff, that's Compton's thing.
Yeah.
It was their search warrant.
And in terms of that search warrant, did you ever see the results, or was KPD's house or residence in Compton searched as well?
I don't remember. I'd have to, the return had so much information on there, I'd have to sit there and look at it again. I just don't remember right off the top of my head if KPD's house was on that return or not.
No worries, sir. And in terms of your investigation, did you ever have to deal directly with Reggie Wright Jr.?
The only face-to-face, and it would have been brief, would have been at Compton when he brought Malcolm Greenidge in, but I don't think there was any talk. And the reason we probably didn't talk to him was because his dad was a lieutenant at Compton.
And what did that mean to you as to why you wouldn't talk to him because his dad was a lieutenant?
Right, wrong, or indifferent, our feeling was, well, if your dad's a Compton lieutenant and you're the head of Death Row Records security, I just have a problem with the communications line there. Maybe I'm being distrustful on that. I just worry about what's being said between the two parties.
Were you aware during the course of your investigation that Reggie Wright Jr. instructed his people to lie to you?
I was told later on by Frank Alexander that he said that, yes.
In addition to that, we had talked a little bit about the video footage that was captured at the MGM. Did you at any point when you looked at that video footage observe or see Duane Davis, KPD, in that surveillance video?
No.
And then finally, your recollection is, so you wake up in the morning, you get the call, you arrive on scene, and when you get there, you had said, and this might be an old Nevada saying, but everyone skedaddled before I got there. You remember saying something like that? Did you, during that time period, ever observe a white Cadillac sitting there waiting for somebody inside to talk to either yourself or any other police officers about what happened at the scene?
No.
And then finally, you had mentioned a little bit about Suge Knight, and you had said that you believed that he was timid or afraid when he showed up with 3 attorneys to talk to you.
Yeah, I think he was rather timid, yes.
Sure. And it would be fair to say, of course, that you don't know why he was timid, right? I mean, he's walking in with 3 attorneys. I mean, is he worried that he's going to get caught doing something wrong, or is he there because he's worried about something else? You don't know, right?
I don't know why he was. It's just I'm sitting there thinking, one, why the victim showing up with 3 attorneys? That was just an odd thing to me.
Right. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Any redirect, Mr. DiGiacmo? Okay. Of course.
All right, Detective. I'm going to jump in here just a little bit with you. Hold on one second while I get ready so that we can share some screens here. And of course, now I can't get that thing to come up so I can share the screen because this is in the way. Where the hell is my Zoom? There it is. I found it. Here we go. I want to start with an aerial that's been admitted as State's Exhibit number 1. I'm going to put it up big for you here. Can you see that?
Just a minute here. Okay, yeah, now I do.
So your understanding is that Shug and the entourage were coming down this way, westbound on Flamingo towards the 662 Club.
Yeah, Flamingo towards Cobol, yes.
And after the shooting, what's your understanding
East-
as to what Mr. Shug?
Did you say westbound or eastbound?
I'm sorry, they
I'm
were
sorry.
heading eastbound towards the 662, correct?
Correct.
What's your understanding as to what Shug and the majority of that entourage do after the shooting?
My understanding is once the shooting happened, they made a U-turn, went westbound on Flamingo, southbound on the boulevard, Las Vegas Boulevard, and came to a stop. If that red dot is at Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon, that's where they came to a stop.
And it wasn't just Mr. Knight's vehicle that was stopped at that location. There were a number of other cars that were part of that entourage that remained at the scene for photographing. Is that correct?
My understanding, because obviously Frank Alexander and the other 3 gentlemen were there, so their car must have been there. If Kevin Woods got talked to, and I think there was somebody else, so I'm guessing their car was there. If there were other cars there, no one said anything about it. So I don't know how many. I remember the car that Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur were in was there in the intersection.
Right. And 2 of the wheels have been blown out from hitting a curb.
The rims were banged up from going over the median there in the middle of the Flamingo.
So, and then the entire crime scene would have been taped off by initial patrol officers, correct?
Yeah, I remember the street was pretty well taped off from what I recall.
And when they put crime scene tape up, they put crime scene tape up around the entire area they're trying to protect. Whether or not the people that were in those vehicles stayed at that location, there are more than one vehicle that's taped off in this scene. Would you agree with that?
They should be. They should be taping off a wider area than a smaller area. It's easier to come in than to go out.
So this is going to make me kick me back in and out every time, but let's go through this.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you're going to tape off an area, you'd rather make it bigger than start smaller, because it's easier to start bigger and enclose it than to start small and make it wider, because once you made it small, you got looky-loos, everybody coming in, and it's tough to get people out then.
So now I'm going to share this photograph. That's the rear of Mr. Shakur and Suge Knight's vehicle, or at least appears to be, correct?
This is at the scene, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I see the tape in the distance. Okay. And then,
that's exhibit number 6.
okay. Is this on the boulevard?
I believe the testimony is that this vehicle is Las Vegas Boulevard in Harmon.
Okay, I see the black and white up ahead just because I see the reflective from the door.
I'm going to go through exhibit number.
What's that white car?
Well, we're going to go through all of these for you in just a
Okay,
second. Of course, I got to do this the hard way. So now I'm going to show you number 20. Give me a second. I don't know why this thing won't roll up for me when it's photographs. There's obviously a different black BMW that's inside. If you look real close on the right side, the crime scene.
Okay. Okay.
There is 22. Oh, I'm going to click out of this.
I'm guessing that license plate number is on the report, so.
You just click through. That's 23. Now we're looking at 24. Share my screen. There's a black Lexus within the crime scene tape.
Okay.
Stop sharing.
So all those cars that are in that line to the side is just regular traffic being going by, I take it.
Then within the tape, this is State's exhibit number 24. There's a silverish Mercedes.
Okay. So is Kevin Woods is probably in at least one of these.
And then 26. There, 26. Also in the tape, there's white. I think if you zoom in really close down here, which I don't know if I can do on here. But
Yeah.
oh, I can do this. There you go.
And it's probably the license. Oh, it's a
Dodge Avenger.
Dodge Avenger. Okay. And the license plate number, because I remember on the original crime report, there are license plate numbers on vehicles, and I'd have to look at it to see what they match up to.
And then Mr. Sanft asked you questions about going to the Luxor.
Okay.
You recall those questions?
Yes.
Would it refresh your memory as to exactly what you found out at the Luxor to review that report that you generated?
Uh-huh.
Okay. There we go. Why is it not coming up? Stop. Share this one more time. Let's see if this works. There we go. All right. All right, here we go.
Right, Brian Beard, yeah. Okay.
So the beginning is just sort of a little paragraph that you wrote about what the investigation is about.
That's just a very brief synopsis about what happened the night of the shooting, yes.
Now, you indicated you talked to Brian Beard, who was working security at the Luxor.
Correct.
At about 10 p.m., he saw Mr. Shakur with a large group of people at the valet. Shakur and his group entered numerous vehicles and drove onto Las Vegas Boulevard around 10:30.
Right.
Beard recalls a black two-door Mercedes, a dark-colored Hummer, a two-tone
Yeah.
van, and a black four-door Mercedes or BMW in the entourage.
Yeah. And the Hummer was supposed to be MC Hammer. I remember that.
And then you also talked to Angel Zavala.
Right.
He was working as well. His recollection of the vehicles were there was a white Dodge Caravan, a black BMW or Mercedes, and two other black vehicles. Two white vehicles behind the group. Zavala said he thought the last car was a Cadillac or Buick with four black males, was what he reported.
Right. That correct.
Thank you, Judge. I have nothing further.
Okay. Any requests?
Just real quick, Detective Becker, with regards to that last line, the last line is that the last white vehicle was either a Cadillac or a Buick, right? So the Cadillac was a white Cadillac.
Correct. That's the way that's worded. Yes.
All right.
Either a white Cadillac or Buick. Yes.
All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Seeing no hands, thank you. You are excused. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, state. Any additional witnesses for today?
Will we approach it?
Come on.
If there are no further witnesses for the day, I wonder if we will end early. They are scheduled to have court from 9 to 5 today, although they started at 9:30 or so. And it is only just about 3:15 in Nevada right now. But I can understand for the pacing of the trial, if they do not have another witness, they will definitely, based on people's time and travel and all of that, they'll conclude for the day and do what they can do. I think Keefy D looks a little, shall we say, well, he's quiet and he does look concerned. I would say he does not look unworried, but he doesn't look exceptionally worried. But the amount of information they're able to recall and put forward
All right, we're going
for 30
to
years.
Take another 15-minute break while we try to get some Zoom things going. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until it is submitted to you. We'll see you guys back 3:30. Please rise for the jury.
Yep, it's 3:15 there. So I'll mute the feed while we talk so we can keep our eye on it in case I get carried away. But yeah, I agree. He does look a little bit defeated. A comment in the chat. For those of you that are listening later, there are people in the chat. There's a few people who remember I used to do this all the time that have come to talk during while we watch. It's not my style to talk while the proceedings are going on. Although I did just overtalk the judge. My apologies. They're definitely on recess rather for 15 minutes on a break. I do like the way the judge reads out the admonishment not to talk to anybody every single time. And when she leaves and comes back, she makes sure to see if there's anything that the lawyers need to bring up. Very efficient. And this is a little bit different for us. The jury gets to ask questions as the witnesses are on the stand, not later, during the trial, which is, expeditious. Like that actually saves so much time after. So many notes, so much back and forth. They will be well informed. They can concentrate on if they're taking notes. They can put things in their mind correctly, and address any issues that they have right away. I think that's fantastic. It's a good process. Well, But that was a lot of testimony from the former homicide detective. It was a little odd to hear from a homicide detective before Tupac had even passed. But, 13 bullets, and four of them at least were in him. We could say that based on what we have heard about the case already. Not in testimony yet in this trial. We still need to wait to hear from medical examiner in all of that as to the manner of death, the injuries, all of that going forward. Well, because this case is 30 years old, there's been a lot of information out there. You all have heard so much, right, about everything about this for years. Unfortunately for Mr. Davis, most of it coming from him. But there are people who talk back and forth. In other cases, there have been informants talking. There have been other gang members talking. Like you said, they keep bringing up Reggie White. He was the head security for Death Row Records, and he had connections to law enforcement. His father was a lieutenant. There was a lot of corruption back in the police departments in Las Vegas, in Compton at the time. You can hear it in how they're reporting the records. The one thing I took away from Brent Becker's testimony was that there was a lot of distrust of where information was coming from, why it was been given to them, why it was different than other things they heard. They had a lot of doubt from law enforcement themselves, from the witnesses, from people that were involved, the suspects. It sounds like nobody trusted anybody. Like there was a lot going on. It was a different time. Not that not that everything's so copacetic everywhere right now anyway, but you know what I mean. Back then in the 90s, like trying to get a picture on what was going on back then, it was totally a different environment than right now. And so part of the prosecution struggle is going to be taking that snapshot and having us all having the jury look at what was going on back then. What the big picture is, what the whole situation surrounding everything was. And with witnesses that are, older, retired, memory this, not very good documentations, and then everything that happened after in those investigations, detectives that come up on Brady charges or this, that, and everything, areas that the defense can go for that say, hey, sloppy reporting, you got this name wrong. Like, I don't even see a report that you ever did for like years and, etc. So it makes it interesting because although he's being tried for his own words, in a nutshell, basically, the way I see it simply, in Nevada, you can be charged for the crime if you assisted the crime in any way. So even though he did not pull the trigger, if he aided and abetted in any way, and per his actually statements for years now, he did, then he gets charged with murder. And there are two enhancements. One is with a deadly weapon, because he did make mention in several of the interviews, and I believe in the book itself, that he actually acquired the gun that was used, and that he actually said in some of the statements that his nephew was the shooter. And he identified who the driver was, who was in the front seat, who was in the back seat, like a lot of this information. And if he did acquire that gun, the gun enhancement for deadly weapon is on there. But also, there is an enhancement on the charge for gang, a gang enhancement. And he does admit to being the head of that gang at the time. Or he has in interviews. I can't really say admitted to in regards to this trial because we haven't heard from him. Although we did hear from him in opening statements by prosecution, his own words, the defense having lost those briefs, those motions to keep all of that information out. One thing's apparent, Keefe D, even while in jail, arrested for this charge, still had a great animosity towards Tupac and spoke vehemently to his son about the whole thing. Seems like there was a beef there. And 30 years later, it sounds like it's still there. You know, I don't blame him for being upset, like, since this is the reason he's in jail. That might be part of how he was speaking. That will be up to the defense to bring that forward. But since you've got plenty of interviews with him doing the same thing, you know, I could see how the jury could infer such. So what are you thinking? I wonder how many more by Zoom we will have, but it is rather convenient. And this feed is excellent. This courtroom, the way their feed is going, the microphone levels, very efficient. I hope a lot of people are very happy about that. You know, I did notice that everyone's doing their feed a little bit different. Some are running like banners on the bottom. Law and Crime is doing a picture-in-picture, like they have a picture up in the corner and then down below, which I thought was interesting. They're focusing on, you know, Duane Davis all the time, and then other things, you know, as they go, and the evidence, a new perspective. Quite a few lively chats going. Everybody's averaging a certain number of people actually watching. And I see that I'm not the only channel that has a large number watching with not as many in the chat. I mean, there are big channel, you know, Sky News, Forbes, like everybody's got a link out there. Even Nevada Courts has their own one out that the Nevada court judges are doing, and they're doing commentary with it as they go, and they have things like all over the screen too. She'll says, I don't think this is going to last long. I say by next week, and I think he's going to take a plea, but I'm trying to keep a balanced view. You know, you wonder, like, as he's listening, if he doesn't change his mind. Like, he doesn't look very comfortable right now. But then again, who would be comfortable facing a murder charge? Like, it's hard to tell. Like, everybody's different, right? Like, it's very hard for me to put myself in his shoes. I would imagine I'd be uncomfortable too. But listening to his own words, that had to be uncomfortable. And the way he's looking at the jury, I mean, there were comments earlier in the chat about, like, I don't think he should be looking so sternly at the jury. You know, I wouldn't recommend that either. I'm sure his lawyer will talk to him. You do want to present your best foot forward, you know, for the jury. They do say, you know, don't be emotional. You know, don't react to things, you know, don't, you know, no scowling, no, you know, menacing looks, all of this other stuff. Well, you know, and at the same time, I've seen, you know, juries say, well, they were so non-emotional about everything that it made me wonder. So you never know. Like, look at in the last trial that we covered with Larry Miete, actually, sorry. He actually was judged for being so calm when speaking about certain things. And then, you know, that was played all over, you know, publicly in the media. And then, you know, the next time his children came up, like, there was a little bit of tear action going on and all. Well, he was very stoic. I guess that would be the word, stoic. He was not very reacting to any of the testimony, even though it was family members, people he was really close to. A lot of damaging things, you know, that were said, people reminding him, you know, that how close they used to be and how could he do this, and blaming him in their testimony, actually referring to, you know, that they thought, you know, not actually coming out and saying it. Nobody actually said that, but in the testimony being given and how emotional everything was, you know, he didn't react. And there was a lot going back and forth about that, about him being so cold. So you never know. You know, they put on a stone face, they get judged. They put on an emotional face, they get judged. We saw the same thing with Canero. He was very active in his own defense, always talking to the attorneys when he could, putting on a good face, you know, calm and collected in front of the jury. He did get emotional in regards to the children's testimony. When discussing the autopsies, he openly wept when talking about his relationship with his nephew. But in both those cases, both those men were convicted. So I don't know. I don't know if, you know, we can actually judge Keefe for how he's being calm you know. In his hearings, we have seen him be reacting to things that attorneys, the prosecution especially, is saying, or the judge, and he would speak out of turn and try to get attention. He was often bringing forward complaints about how he was being treated. He wasn't disruptive or rude. I do think he was just trying to make statements, get things on the record, trying to show that he didn't understand certain things and he wanted clarification, which can happen. I mean, he's had quite a few lawyers. The last two were privately paid or actually hired by him. Carl Arnold was the one. He was fired by Keith E.D. and then he hired his new lawyer. I think his last name was Dracovic. I have to go look up how to actually say that because it's quite a long name. Hold on one second. I don't want to mangle the man's name. He deserves better from me. That was up in the beginning. I have pages and pages of information on this. Okay, so Carl Arnold was hired by Davis as a private defense attorney, replacing his public defenders before that. He had worked for him for almost a year, and then he was let go by Davis, okay, after he represented him in the battery case, okay, which Davis lost. So he might have felt a certain way. I don't know what his reasonings were. Well, he chose to dismiss Carl Arnold, and he replaced him with Draskovic and Pandula. It's Robert Draskovic. It's Draskovic. He replaced them in August of 2020. He hired them as the lead defense attorneys for his case in August of 2025, and they are private, they weren't public defenders. Okay, but then the judge recently, in the beginning of this year, allowed the motion brought forward by Robert Draskovic and his partner Michael Pandula to be removed from the case because they were not paid at all. Well, I don't know about it at all, but there was a dishonoring of the contract, and they had not been paid. They are the attorneys who actually pushed this case to August of 2026 to get everything, pushed through. Because of the amount of discovery, and now that we're hearing from the prosecution, we can see. Okay, so that is when the judge let Draskovic off of the case because of non-payment. That is when Michael Stein took on the case pro bono, declaring that he did it for free because he believes in Keith E.D.'s Duane Davis's innocence. He said that he'd been following the case on his own as a fan of Tupac and from the beginning, and he definitely sees some problems in the case, and so he willingly stepped forward to handle the case pro bono. He's a good attorney. He's got a good record, and he's faced this prosecution team before in another public, very high-profile case against an ex-pastor, Andrew Cowell, who was in a long dispute with the neighbor and was accused of killing them, shooting them, his neighbor and her boyfriend. He lost that case. The man did get committed, get found guilty of the murder charges, and he's in jail for life now. So, well, interesting. Well, there's a lot interesting about this case, just the age of it. I'm not following it so much as the famousness, of the celebrity that Tupac was, although I do like his music. I think it's a tragedy he lost his life so young, 25 years old. We'll never know what he would have become in the music industry. We don't know what kind of career he would have, where he would have went with it. We just have what he left behind. And just his age alone. I mean, Tupac's interviews himself, although gang affiliated all the time, talking about, the people he hung out with, would clearly state he was not in a gang. Does that mean he didn't hang out with members that were closely affiliated? No, like he knew who he knew and he hung out with who he hung out with, but he constantly said he wasn't actually in a gang. We'll see. We'll see. He was actually friends with Biggie. They talked, and according to other documentaries that I've seen, it seems to be that's where this beef, so to speak, of the East and the West Coast was coming from. Two different record companies. The one headed by Sean Combs, P. Diddy, that was Bad Boy Records, that we know it as, and then the one by Suge Knight on the West Coast, which was Death Row Records. And there's been a lot of mention of P. Diddy all the way back to when the Proffer interview, that's what I'll call that first interview with Detective Greg Kading happened. Duane Davis is said to have, and I've heard those interview tapes. I think they will be playing them for us. But he did throw P. Diddy under the bus. He said it was him actually saying that he wanted this beef squashed. He was tired of it, blah, blah, blah. Put out like $1 million contract or a $2 million contract, something like that, where everybody could hear it, all the gang affiliations. And, it was alluded that that's why Duane Davis may have taken him up on the offer. Now we know that Sean Combs is in jail. He won't be testifying. How much of that will come in? I will say that the only one ever charged for this homicide is Duane Keith Davis. Anything else that he said about anybody else being involved, no one's been charged. No one's facing allegations. There may be investigations. There may have been things behind the scenes, but as far as actually indicted and charged, nobody, nothing. Yep. And so, I think in a way that may go to the defense's case. That may be something they may lean on a little bit. What do you guys think? I think he would have done great things. He was so popular. I liked him. He was. He was so personable. Yeah. You look at the old interviews and everything like that. He was definitely personable, likable. You hear what people say about him. Is definitely well loved. I feel for the families sitting through the proceedings right now, but in some way, I think that they're happy there's finally something being actually officially done instead of just behind the scenes and people talking about it. Like there's actually,
Go ahead.
Oh, he's frozen now. Can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear them? They're testing their.
You're very faint, yes.
They're
If I get
testing.
closer to this microphone, is that any
There
better?
we go. I got you now.
It looks like they're
If you wanted to
testing
question
the.
him sitting, I have no problem with that.
I think I'll take it down, and I think I'll mute it
I'm
until
just going to speak up.
they
because I'm
finish.
capable of asking questions.
It seems like they're testing the technology. If you don't mind, I'll leave it up. But if it's annoying, I will mute it.
All right,
So
Mr.
just let me
Sim,
know.
Are we ready?
It sounds
Yes,
like
sir.
they're ready.
Okay. We have everybody. Anything we need to address before we bring the jury back in?
Not from the state.
No, yeah.
Okay, let's bring them in.
Okay, jury coming back in. And I am well pleased that they're pretty much on time. They were only a couple minutes late. That's not too bad. We've had 15-minute breaks go for like an hour or so in other cases. So they're pretty much like on time. It looks like we will be having our fourth witness And that will be the second one for this afternoon. Okay, so it looks like Binu Palel there with the glasses.
To the presence of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You may be seated.
Okay. All right, here we
State
go.
may call their next witness at this time.
Fred Miller.
Hi, Mr. Miller, can you hear me or are you frozen?
I can hear you, Honor.
Okay, great. I'm going to have my clerk swear you, and then
There
Mr.
seems to be a
DiGiacomo is going to have some
pause.
questions.
Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. If you please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you please state your full name and then spell it for the record.
Fred Miller, Fredmiller.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. DiGiacmo, you may proceed.
Thank you, sir. How did you used to be employed?
I used to be employed with the Los Angeles Police Department.
How long you were with LAPD?
Almost 30 years.
On March 9th of 1997, what was your assignment? What section were you in?
I've been assigned to Robbery Homicide Division, worked Homicide Special.
Were you one of the two detectives assigned initially the investigation into an individual identified as Christopher Wallace, also known as Biggie Smalls, also known as the notorious B.I.G.?
No, I did not receive the responsibility for the case until approximately 60 days later. We received it from the Wilshire Division, and then we took over the responsibility for the investigation.
Why would a case be transferred from Wilshire to RHD?
I'm sorry?
Why would a case at LAPD be transferred out of the Wilshire Division to the Robbery Homicide Division?
Because of the magnitude of the investigation that it looked like it was going to entail, they did not have the manpower that we had at Robbery Homicide to work a case of this magnitude.
During the course of your investigation, did you learn how Mr. Wallace died?
Yes, sir.
And can you describe that for us?
Yes, he received, I believe, 4 9mm projectiles to his body that caused his demise.
And where was he when he got shot?
He was sitting in the right passenger seat of his limousine that was leaving the museum.
And was that the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA?
Yes, sir, it is.
And that was there a vibe after party after some award show that he was in attendance before he was shot?
That's correct.
And the fire marshals, did they shut down that party and that's why everyone was leaving?
That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
Did you have information as to a suspect vehicle that you originally received?
That's correct. We received from aqua dark newer Chevrolet S 4-door. It had very fancy rims on it. It was last seen going north on Fairfax and then eastbound on Wilshire Boulevard.
So I think what you just said was was a newer model Chevy Impala SS that was dark in color. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
And the race of your potential suspect, how was that identified to you?
Yes, it's a male black.
During the course of your investigation, did you receive information that a person by the name of Duane Davis might be a suspect in this homicide?
Yes, we did.
I think he's frozen just as. And in addition to that, did you learn that Duane Davis was present at the the Peterson Automotive Museum during the party?
Yes, he was.
Did you also receive information that he potentially had a motive to harm Mr. Smalls because of some sort of monetary dispute?
Objection, Your Honor, is a leading.
What's your response?
I'm just trying
There
to
was
lay a
some-
foundation through video.
Overruled. I'll allow it given the circumstances. You can answer, Mr. Miller.
He's not frozen. I don't think we caught your answer.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Did you receive information that he potentially had a motive over money owed to him?
Yes, from several sources, we'd heard that there was a dispute between Mr. Davis and Tupac's organization.
All right.
And ultimately, did you learn that Mr. Davis lived at a residence at 1524 California?
Yes,
Did you also learn that he had driven or received a citation driving a black Chevy Impala SS?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Can I have the party's approach real quick?
Okay, so they're going to address the objections. Ooh, hot mics there for a minute. Well, I can see like leading, but I think some leading is going to be expected with witnesses that he from so long, especially since they have the reports and all. I think they're going to have to come to an agreement on how to deal with that. It looks like that's what the judge is going to try to straighten out. Although, since we can't hear, we don't know for sure. But to me, that makes common sense. I think that it makes sense. But I'm not going to say it's a fact. We do have a lot of lag with this witness. Not every connection is great via Zoom testimony. I can understand the defense not wanting leading. The witness should present as how they remember things for the jury. It's in
We're
their
going to take
best
a 10-minute
interest.
recess to see if we can fix the feed a little bit.
Okay.
During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourself or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. I apologize for the constant in and out, but we do need to try to fix this. All right, please rise for the jury.
While they go back and forth with it, I'll probably mute for the 10 minutes. And I mean, mute their feed for the 10 minutes. So now's the time. If there's anything you want to discuss, put it in the chat. But I can see wanting to fix. It's very frustrating because the lag, not being able to hear properly, that could be part of why he's leading with the questions the way he is and causing some of the objection.
Yeah, now it's working perfect.
Oh wait,
The
as soon
record,
as
the
they
jury has exited the room. I don't know what they want to do.
So, Jared, Jacob's going to call him and see if we can get him closer to his Wi-Fi.
Okay.
okay. Wow, so now it's working.
Okay. If you guys want to try to play around with it,
Hello.
see if it works, and let me know what you decide. Okay. All right, we'll be in recess. The jury is.
All right, they're going to be in recess. I'll be right back. They're going to be in recess for 10 Okay, sorry about that. I had to get a cup of coffee, and it had just finished brewing, and definitely didn't want to miss any testimony. So, but I didn't see any questions in the chat, so that's good. All right. So, hopefully the tech issues get fixed. And I did hear the gentleman, Fred Miller, or the former detective from Los Angeles Police Department in Robery Homicide. I heard him talking before we left, and I heard the prosecution say it was fixed, but the jury was already out of the room, so they don't get very many breaks when sitting. So let them have their 10 minutes to grab something to drink or go to the facilities if they need it. It's always good to be kind to the jury. They get a break. They pay attention when they come back. It's good for everyone. So before they started with testimony again, we were talking about all the different attorneys that Davis has had involved with this case. When he did the proffer, he had his personal attorney. I think his name was we go back and look. I think that may have been let's see. Before that was for the proffer and all was probably let's see. I think it was Fail. His attorney's name was Eddie Emo Fail, Faal, and that was his personal attorney, but he could not represent him. He actually negotiated and accompanied Davis to that 2008 federal proffer agreement interview, and he was present during them. Okay, that's when Duane Davis gave his detailed confessions regarding this particular case, the Tupac Shakur homicide, under the assumption that he had limited immunity, which, as I explained before, he broke when he spoke publicly. When he finally was arrested in 2023, he initially told the Las Vegas judge during that very first court appearance that Palel was his lawyer. However, Palel is based in California and he's not licensed to practice state criminal law in Nevada, so he actually could not represent him. And at that time, Ross Goodman was hired temporarily, and Ross Goodman was a big name in Las Vegas, and we had talked about this in one of the true crime and legal updates that we did in the beginning of the case. He was very well connected, supposedly. Rumors, we don't know for a fact, of he had represented some mob figures and some other things, but he was a big name. And we were very excited to see such a huge lawyer attached to the case, because that always leads to some prestige with the case and some great lawyering. He was a local defense lawyer with a big name, attached to him, very well connected, even in government, like in local government in Las Vegas. So, that didn't last very long, though. They could not come up with the actual payment agreement. So that is when, Keefe D started saying that he didn't have the funds. Okay. And so Ross Goodman didn't really have the case for very long. After his initial arraignment, when Goodman stepped forward, his private counsel, after that arrest, and he did make several public statements, and he attended some very early court dates. However, it was short-lived, and by November, 1 month later, no, 2 months later, Goodman officially withdrew from the case because Davis was unable to meet the financial terms and retainer requirements of the agreement they had. And following Goodman's withdrawal, the court briefly declared Davis indigent and assigned him 2 public defenders before he started cycling through all the private attorneys that he had. Yeah. So that's how Goodman got in there. I think the 2 public defenders they were Robert Arroyo and Charles Cano. They were appointed by the state of Nevada to represent him. And then after that, then KPD decided that he needed a private attorney in early 2024. So he hired Carl Arnold. And there were several motions that he put through. He filed a motion to dismiss. He fiercely spearheaded the case, did a lot of interviews for about a year. He did the high-profile motion to dismiss, and he attempted at that point to suppress the 2008 police interviews. And then he also needed to represent him in the separate jailhouse battery trial, which, as we said before, that did not go in KPD or Duane Davis's favor. He lost that, and he's now in jail, convicted of that, and serving some time for that sentence there. After Carl Arnold was fired by Duane Davis, he then hired Robert Draskovich and Michael Palel, who took over the case in August of 2025. These are private attorneys also. And they actually were responsible for helping to push the trial back to August of this year, because we had several dates in 2025 that it was going to happen. We've had dates all along.
We have one record to make outside the presence of the jury.
Sure, let's do that.
Just with regards to this witness's testimony earlier,
Okay.
okay, I don't think it's gonna hurt his feelings. He's
Okay.
The information that was garnered by the state specifically, I think, just falls towards a other bad act issue, and that is the testimony is that he's a suspect in a murder of Biggie Smalls, and there's some implication at this point. I know how the story ends. The problem is though is that it still infers a bad act in terms of him being the suspect in this case. So as a result,
I have no problem. The court already admitted this by way of our motion of limine. I have no problem with the court instructing the jury that neither the state nor the LAPD believes that Mr. Davis is involved in the murder of Christopher Wallace. I have no problem with that instruction.
Did you want a contemporaneous instruction, or do you want that to be included in the jury instruction packet, Mr. Sanft?
I think it should be some type of an impression right now, so if we
Okay.
make contemporaneous instruction on it.
So the suggestion was neither the court nor LAPD believe
At this point.
that Mr. Davis was involved in any way in the death of Mr. Wallace?
Sure.
Does that work?
That's fine. Your Honor.
Okay.
That's some excellent lawyering by Michael Sanft there,
Let's bring in the jury.
because they could insinuate he was involved because of the conversation, and yet it has been determined that he was not. And so that was excellent lawyering, preemptively making sure they know it now and not later in the jury instructions. He's a good, excellent lawyering.
All right, does the party stipulate the presence of the jury?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, before we go back to Mr. Miller's testimony, I did want to admonish you as follows. Neither the court nor the LAPD believe as at this point that Mr. Davis was involved in the death of Mr. Wallace. I want that to be clear. Going back to you, Mr. DiGiacomo, you may proceed with Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
So you received information that Duane Davis could potentially be your suspect. Is that accurate? I think that's where we left off.
That's correct.
And you also receive information that potentially Mr. Davis feels like he's owed money by either Mr. Wallace or Puffy Combs' Bad Boy Records. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
You also learned that he was driving or ticketed on March 8th of 1997, a black 1996 Chevy Impala SS. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so based upon all of that, do you, along with, well, on May 27th of 1997, Compton PD executes a search warrant at 1524 California. And then on the 28th, you get a warrant to search the vehicle, the 1996 Chevy Impala, correct?
Correct.
And the vehicle was actually registered to a Patrick Parker. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Eventually, fast forward to June 20th of 1997, do you and your partner, Detective Poole, wind up having a conversation with Mr. Davis at his lawyer's office, Edie Fall?
That's correct.
Judge, I've had marked as 116 as well as, it's old school, so it's two sides of a tape, 108 and 109, which is transcripts. It's the audio and the transcripts. I'd offer them at this point.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, those will be admitted, and further, pursuant to your stipulation, we're going to play those after Mr. Miller's done testifying, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Sir, during the execution of that search warrant that you did, in the trunk of the vehicle, did you collect a Polaroid photograph?
Yes, I did.
And I'm going to share my screen with you. Can you see that Polaroid?
Yes, I can.
And is that the Polaroid that you collected out of the vehicle?
That's correct.
I move to admit 66.
Any
No
objection?
objection on it.
So admitted?
I pass the witness.
Okay. Mr. Sanft, cross?
Mr. Miller, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
This Polaroid that's on screen right now, which is state 66 that you see in front of you,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Can't hear you very well. You're breaking out just a little bit.
I apologize. So this exhibit that you see in front of you right now, do you see the Polaroid still, which is States Exhibit 66 for the record?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Can you tell the jury what this means?
What it means?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Polaroid. Is there anything about this particular photograph that means anything?
I really don't get your questions right. It just means there's a group of guys together who enjoyed themselves, apparently.
Right. Can you tell us when that photograph was taken?
No, I can't.
Can you tell us where that photograph was taken?
No.
In terms of the clothing that everyone's wearing at this particular point, do you know if that was how Mr. Davis dressed normally?
I have no idea how Mr. Davis dresses normally.
Now, this photograph that was taken from the 96 Chevy Impala, that was pursuant to your search warrant, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were looking for evidence that would help you substantiate as to who was responsible for the murder of Biggie Smalls, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us how this photograph helps you learn any more information as to who killed Biggie Smalls?
It may not be the actual person who pulled the trigger, but it may be one of the people that lead us to who did pull that trigger.
All right. So who are the other people that are in the photograph?
I don't recall the names. I know Orlando Anderson was one, and I don't recall the others.
Okay, but fair to say, of course, if there was a Polaroid with these people in there, it would have been part of your job as a detective at the time to look into and identify who those other individuals are, correct?
Yes.
And that didn't happen in this case?
I believe we did find out there was 3 or 4 more.
All right. And once again, did it help you solve the murder of Biggie Smalls?
No.
And fair to say, though, even though we've been talking about Mr. Duane Davis as somebody that was a potential target for your investigation, ultimately, at the end of the day, he was never charged with the murder of Biggie Smalls, right?
That's correct.
Now, in addition to that, fair to say that in your course and scope as a detective, when you do your investigations, you would have ran Mr. Davis's criminal history as part of your investigation, right?
Yes, sir.
Was there any indication on any of his criminal history that he'd ever been arrested or charged or convicted of any violent felony?
I don't recall.
Now, in addition to that, sir, your testimony here is that you did an investigation on Mr. Davis. Did you ever at any point look into the actual Impala itself? You said it was owned by somebody else, so Patrick Parker. Is that correct?
It was owned by someone other than Mr. Davis, yes.
And with regard to that, did you ever interview Mr. Parker?
I do not recall.
And when you went to 1524, what was the purpose of going to that particular address?
I'm sorry, what?
You said you went to 1524 California. I apologize. That was my bad. But you went to 1524 California. Why to that address?
Because that's where we heard that Mr. Davis lived and that we had air units go by and check the location, and they observed a black Chevy Impala parked in the back. That's why.
Did you ever search the 1524 California residence in furtherance of your investigation?
I didn't. It was searched by the Compton Police Department.
Okay. And in their search of the 1524 California residence, fair to say that there was no evidence that was located that would have been helpful for your investigation?
Not at this point. That's correct.
Okay. What about the anything to do with a potential issue with Tupac Shakur's murder? Any evidence found at the 1524 California residence?
I'm not sure. That was not my case.
Now, at some point, your testimony is that there was a meeting between yourself, Mr. Davis, as well as Edie Fall, his attorney.
Yes, sir.
And in that meeting, it was recorded?
Yes.
And was that recorded surreptitiously, meaning it was done without their knowledge, or was it done with their knowledge?
I don't recall whether they were informed or not.
And just for our edification, where was the location of that meeting and recording?
Wow, I don't recall. I want to say it was at Parker Center, but I don't actually remember.
Is that where would that have been LAPD headquarters, or are you talking about some other location?
That would be 150 North Los Angeles Street.
I don't know where that's at. Is that a?
It no longer exists. It was the old Parker Center, yes.
Okay.
The old police administration building.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Any redirect, Mr. DiGiacmo?
No, no.
Any questions for this witness by the jurors? We do have at least one, so hang on with us, Mr. Miller, while we go through the question process.
Thank you.
Can I have the parties approach?
Okay. It's just really interesting because there's search warrants going on for all different kind of things and different kinds of charges and cases by other entities, Compton, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. I can understand how it gets all to keep track
All
of
right,
all of
Commissioner.
that. So
Okay, Mr. Miller, can you still hear me?
I'm sorry, what? Your Honor?
Okay, excellent. A question from one of our jurors. If the car was owned by someone else, why weren't they questioned?
I don't understand. I mean, I'm not hearing you correctly, Your Honor.
If the car was owned by someone else, why were they not questioned?
More than likely, he was, like I said, I do not recall whether he was interviewed or not. He was not by me that I remember.
Okay. Any follow-up, Mr. DiGiacomo?
No.
Any follow-up, Mr. Sanft?
I do have one further question, Your Honor.
About that? Or about something else?
Sure.
Any objection to him reopening questioning?
No.
Okay. Mr. Sanft, you may proceed with a different question.
Thank you, Your Honor. I apologize. Thank you to the state as well. Sir, you had told us earlier that there was some indication that you believed that either Biggie or Sean Puffy Combs had owed my client money. You recall that line of questioning?
I remember that question, yes.
Was there any evidence that he actually was owed money by either one of those two individuals?
Not that I'm aware of.
No further questions, John.
Any questions based on that state? All right. Any questions based on that by the jurors? Seeing nothing at this time, Mr. Miller, you are excused. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think this is our last witness for the day. Is that correct, State?
Yes, although we can play that 1997 recording, at
okay.
least part of it.
I think we do have time. You said it was about 40 minutes?
I think part A is 40 minutes, and then there's a little bit that we may have to finish in the morning, but we can at least
Sounds
do
good.
part of it.
Let's get started.
We got to switch over to the.
So we're going to hear the related recording that they keep talking about, but it'll be in two parts. Part 2 will be tomorrow. So we're going to have audio. And it did look like Mr. Davis was wiping his brow, and I don't blame him because the audio is going to be difficult.
Coffee or soda? You have soda? Yeah, soda. What would you like? And soda. Regular value. Yeah. Coke. Coke? Kind of warm today. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were up in the valley earlier. It's really high up there. Yeah. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Davis, Detective Miller, my partner, Detective Poole. Mr. Davis here with Attorney Paul. The easiest way to do this is tell you what we're here and what we're all about. We are working the Christopher Wallace murder. Christopher Wallace is the vice DIG. During the course of the investigation, as you know, you've been through hundreds of these, as I have. Many clues come in, anonymous calls. The investigation is to try and run down everybody. People say, was it a party? May have seen something, whatever. I mean, there were 1,700 people at that party. That's right. So what we're trying to do is contact as many of those people as we can, find out if they saw anything. That's what we're coming with. I'm aware of your traffic warrants. I take care of that throughout those. I'm not a traffic cop. Okay? And I got Mr. Paul aware of that. So during the time period when he got killed, Chris got killed, until today, like I said, we received lots of calls. Originally, when this murder went down, there was a description given of a dark, possible four-door car. Okay. Some of the witnesses said it was a crisis, some heard this should be SS. That's part of the investigation. To this day, I can't be positive, I can't have a needle on positive one. So, that's where we're at, and that's why you're here. To find out. We heard you were at the party, you're on SS, a dark one, you know, just like about 85 other people we talked to that had dark Chryslers or Chevys. So, let me ask this, were you at the, I guess it's called the after park, Fort Training Award party? Live report. Oh, okay. And, were you alone? Did you ride with somebody else?
Okay, I was riding with a few friends, but, you know.
No, it's fine. Give me Mr. Paul explained that to me. I'm sure he's already advised you. My thing is to you. I want to know if you saw anything, what happened there. Did you see anything unusual?
I didn't see anything unusual. I was, when he got shot, I was up under the parking garage waiting on the valet man with my car. You know, the whole crowd just started running up under the parking garage. You know, talking about baby got shot. I said, Lord. So, about 3-4 minutes later, the man pulled up with my car. Officer in the middle of the thing, waving us out of it, you know, waving the cars on. Get up out of here, you know.
From the parking structure, you mean?
From the parking structure.
Okay. It may be advantageous at this point sometimes if one of these witnesses would have just to verify. And like I said, right now, I'm not going to ask the names. I'm sure that we need them, you know.
Yeah, sure. At this point, his main interest is to tell you where he was,
right,
what car he was in, to exclude any suspicion that his car was involved or that he was involved.
Well, I was in a green Cutlass.
Okay.
Green.
Older.
It was 95 Cutlass.
And how many people were with you?
It was 3 on it. It was me, Window Prince, and that's all.
Okay.
I don't, you know, his name Wonder Mike. I don't know his last name.
Wonder Mike? Wonder? WONDER?
Okay, let me back up. Let's start. What time did you arrive at the party? Did you call?
Maybe about 11:30, 11 o'clock.
11:30?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you arrived there are 2 entrances to the location there, you know, that little street you put on,
Yeah.
with the park structure on one side and the museum's on the other. Yeah. Okay. You ever come down Fairfax or down Orange? You know there, or
Came down, what's that side street there?
Orange Drive, Orange Grove.
No, on the big one, Fairfax.
Fairfax.
Fairfax, yeah.
Okay. And then pulled into the lot there.
Pulled in, yeah, got my car valet. No, I didn't get the car valet. It was up in the corner. It was ready, parked right up here in the corner.
Okay, there are 3 levels to that parking structure.
Yeah.
You know which level you were on?
Until the first
level?
in the corner.
Okay. Up front towards the museum or on the back side?
I was on the back side. But when he pulled, no, I was valet. He pulled the car up and the man told us, waved us up out there, big tall cop, he was going like this.
Okay. When you pulled out, did you pull out on Fairfax or did they make you go out the other way?
Pulled out on Fairfax.
Okay. When you pulled out on Fairfax, what did you see? Did you see anything? I mean,
I didn't see nothing.
no, when the cars parked in the street,
There
did you
was
see
a lot of limos right there to the right.
along the curb there on Fairfax?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see the car that Biggie was in?
I seen it when he was up under the parking garage.
Okay. Did you see that car in the street, you know, when you left? Or did you see it out there at
No,
all?
it wasn't out there.
No, it wasn't? Okay.
The crowd just came running up under the park before everybody was running. Said, Biggie got shot, Lord, and then, we went to our car, and the man just waited us up out of there. Usually time they just like hold everybody here.
Right.
Yeah, cause I was over here at the airport hotel, right there by the farm.
Right.
And it was a gang shooting up in there. And they hold everybody there overnight in the hotel room and all that. You know.
Well, I'll ask you a couple questions, then I hope I'm not even, but what kind of business are you? Are you in the entertainment business? I don't know.
No, I'm not in no.
Okay.
I do hydraulic cars.
I'm sorry?
Hydraulic cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have your own business?
No, it's like a co-business.
No, partnership.
Yeah, partnership, yeah.
Where do you live?
Where do I live?
Yes.
1524, California.
South California.
Yeah.
And the phone number?
638 9042
What is that? 818?
3132.
Okay. And your business address?
It's 520 Long Beach Boulevard.
520. And your phone number there?
I don't know the real man. It's just like seasonal with the hydraulics, you know. Like in the winter, it's really no work. So, you know, when it get hot, that's when.
What's the name of the business?
Compton hydraulics.
Okay, so you arrived there between 11:30. How long were you there at the party before you left?
It was about 5 hours.
Okay. And while you were there, I'm sure you're roaming around, did you see any problems in the museum? Anything unusual?
No.
No?
There was a lot of stars there. Football players, basketball players, just a whole lot of stars there.
We got some, we've been, like I said, there was probably 11 or 1,200 people there at one time.
Right.
So it's,
The fire department closed it down because I think it was overcrowded or something.
right. Okay. Did you see Biggie there or Puffy there? Do you know Puffy contest?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Did you see them at the party?
So you got to
Okay. Do you know them?
do I know them?
Yeah, I mean, were you sitting with them or drinking with them or anything?
I wasn't sitting with them.
Okay. Do you recall who was with them when you saw them?
Him, Puffy, the Little Caesar, and what was it, entourage? You know, the lifeguard and stuff.
Okay. The Little Caesar, do you know what his name is?
I don't know what his real name is. Yeah,
Was he a rapper?
Rapper, yeah,
Okay.
he's a rapper.
How old is Little Caesar? I mean,
He a kid though. He's 18, 19.
do you know who, what company he sings for?
Bad Boys.
Bad Boy?
Yeah. Little Caesar.
Anybody else that you recognize was there at the table or around him? Like I said, there were so many people that were celebrities.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think if you've been remember seeing him at the table or anybody who's talking to us, that's. No? Okay. Did you go up and talk to him or did you sit at the table?
No, I said it.
Did you talk to him? You know
He
him?
came by and spoke. How you doing? Gave me dog very on. That's
Who's he talking?
Sean.
Oh, okay, Combs. Okay. Do you know Combs?
Oh, I know him a little bit.
I mean, business associate or childhood?
I rather not.
No, that's what I know. So basically, he wants to talk about where he was and what he was doing.
Right. Okay.
As opposed to
where you were prior to the party?
Was, in Compton.
In Compton?
Yeah.
And you came from Compton up to the party?
So we, went to a state basketball championship.
Where was that at?
That was at the pond. The pond. Pond.
I don't understand, you had a ticket to get in. Did you have a guest pass to get in?
Yes, yes. Yeah, we had like, I had like 1 year.
And my child, who you got that from?
No, I didn't think no one could get anything.
Oh. Okay, when you pull out of the parking lot on the Fairfax, you go turn left or right, you remember? After the party?
No, they was making sure everybody go right.
Right?
Yeah, they was making sure he was right there. Officer, big tall officer. He was like waving
Was
everybody.
everybody northbound, or,
Yeah,
right on?
right,
Fairfax?
yeah.
Okay.
He pushing everybody over. I guess he didn't know what happened on that, you know. I don't know, he just waving everybody out. Cars was coming out, and I just followed, the course.
Okay, when you were leaving the party, you said you saw, Mr. Wallace in the parking structure, I mean, the parking
He
area?
was on the stairs, he came down, got in that truck, and it was just.
What was the truck at?
It was right in front of the parking area. Or, as you come down the stairs,
Right.
yeah, it was right there, parked right there.
Okay. Did you see any problems or anything unusual out there when you were walking down?
I see.
Okay, and you came downstairs, went in the first level, got your car, and you pulled in there.
No, everybody was out there talking, boom. They left out. Then, about 5 minutes later, everybody started running. I didn't even hear the shots or nothing like that. I didn't even hear the shots.
Were you in your car? I'm sorry. Were you in your car when people came rushing back, or?
No, I was outside.
Still standing outside?
Still standing outside. Got it on surveillance camera too. You could just check them out. Got on a blue jumpsuit, blue Michael Jordans.
That's what you were asking?
That's what I had on. Check the surveillance camera. I was right up under the parking lot.
And you said that Mr. Prince was with you?
Yes.
What was he dressed in, do you remember?
Oh, yeah. All I know, I had on Michael Jordans. They came out like a couple of days before then. I bought, it was blue, yeah. I bought the blue jump and the blue shoes, tennis shoes, and the blue jumpsuit. And wore it to the basketball game. My little friend, he played basketball in the meantime. Yeah.
Okay.
Your friend, what's your friend's name?
Saying Tayshawn Prince.
Tayshawn?
Tayshawn Prince.
Is he a senior?
He was a junior.
At the time this thing happened, he was a junior?
Yeah. Crowd just got to running. It was, how people run.
Oh, yeah.
They was running, and he just pulled his hard up. I just got in my car when he pulled up, and the officer was leading people out like this. Just made a right, went onto the freeway, went to what was that place, Jerry's Deli, out there in Marine.
What time do you think it was when you got the juries? You have any idea? Okay.
say, it was a police officer, was that an LAPD police officer?
I know y'all ain't heard it before, anyway, everybody was about it.
And that's why I'm trying to get the time, because the police didn't get there until about 6 minutes after the accident, which you, Kierny was saying earlier.
Okay, it was about that, you know,
Yeah, that, you know, that's why,
Yeah.
we, you know, there's just so many people there that trying, people in time, as you know, it's difficult when there's a small period of time to try and,
Yeah.
put everything together, so. Was it your car, the, when you drove there?
No, it was around.
And,
The green Olds is a rent-a-car,
Got the judge,
two-door, four-door?
it was a four,
you were what model?
a little bitty one, I don't know, I think SL or something like that.
Who rented it?
My mother,
What's your mother's name?
Oh, we have it on paper.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
Bernice Davis, that's my stepmom,
All right.
Bernice Davis.
Did you have any unusual or fancy thing about that car? I mean, just wait for you to videotape, you know, the security camera.
No, it's a rental car.
Yeah.
96,
Okay.
95, 96, green rental car.
Dark green?
Dark green.
And you said there's 3 of you in that car?
Three.
Okay. Was there any particular reason that you left the party after being an hour?
Cause they closed the party down.
Who closed it down?
Ain't the fire department, that's what they said on the thing, turned on the lights and said, party's over. And said the fire department closed it down, some overcrowded.
Did you, see any of your friends there at the party?
My friend?
Yeah. I mean, you went with 2 other friends. Did you see some more friends that, say, from your neighborhood where you live? Or...
Other people he knew?
Yeah, friends.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to get into that. Again, he wants to limit himself to what he did or what he did not do.
Okay. The reason why I asked, we're trying to identify everybody who was there so we can interview them, see if we can't find out some more information about this.
Well, you only tell you the truth opinion.
Okay.
Y'all barking up the wrong tree. You know what I'm saying? Y'all wasting a lot of taxpayers' money. Every time something happens, y'all just spraying that little neighborhood over here. The guy from Compton Police, Brent, he's barking, man, he got y'all on the wild goose chase. Look.
Well, as you're trying to think, I'm sure you're thinking, we get hundreds and hundreds of clues.
Well, okay, the next day after that.
If we don't do something, we'll do something in court.
The next day after it happened, next day after the victim got killed, he pulled over one of my nephews, saying, we know you did it, and Carli, you know, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, I understand your problem, and that's why, you know, you'll
You
find.
know, I know you called y'all to say, come take these guys out.
No,
It's wrong, man.
no, I didn't meet him until here probably 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, when he pulled my nephew over, he probably was the anonymous tip. He's so obsessed with bringing somebody, you know, to jail. I don't know what's his problem. He said we could have paid 3 times.
Well, see, that's the problem,
Yeah.
I can explain to you. We get on.
I'm 34 years old.
No.
I'm not gonna piss on cotton, man. I've been at 3 strikes before the law came out. Straight out. I'm not gonna piss on cotton.
Okay, I just want you to know, we haven't picked you up from anybody. Now, we have.
We have taken on you to relax.
Yeah.
If we thought you were involved, we would have. You were like a long time ago. Yeah, you were putting on TV. Well, why? That's what I said.
We went through your attorney to have you come down here just because somebody gave us a clue that you were at the party. That's the only reason why you're here.
Let me tell you his concern. You're hearing some type of anger or frustration from him. The reason being, we're talking about something very dangerous. Once word gets out that you are associated with certain crime, your life.
That's one year, watch your head, man.
Your life.
I understand, that's why we try. I understand what you're
You know,
saying.
that's why your life is in danger.
I'm riding down the street.
You understand, the reason we're doing this is because, not just because I'm hurt, because so many people have put the connection supposedly between Tupac and this. Well, I don't,
Okay. And then he wants to come here because we know you're not Compton PD.
No.
We know you're not Brennan. Okay? And we don't have to hide anything. You probably had everything right. Brennan and his family. The thing is, he thought if he comes to LVMPD, answer your question as to where he was, what he was doing, hopefully that will quell the rumor that was out there.
That's what
we believe,
because nothing,
that he believes Brennan Moore in the rumors. And he doesn't want to get
well,
involved.
that's what, I knew you had warrants, we're gonna come down to your house and drug you out and all this. I'm too busy to play silly little games.
Yeah.
I got, believe me, lots of people to talk to. And because of the anonymous calls, people call in and say, hey, checking this, checking that, and in your car,
In my car.
I have to eliminate it, I have to talk to you, and that's why we went through your attorney. And like I said, we could have done this, do down there, but, the appointment schedule works great. Because everybody has a busy schedule, okay? If you're my target, you've been booked by now,
Yeah.
okay?
Well,
That's right. We've talked to lots of people prior to you, and, they said, hey, we saw TV there, we're just trying to confirm this and find out what people saw.
Yeah, they seen me up under the parking garage.
Well, see, that's where we learned something new. We now know where you were at.
It's a Vegas camera, man. I'm in a blue jumpsuit, North Carolina hat on, and some blue jumpman. Jordans.
That's what I'm trying to do. As much as you can tell us, it makes it easier for us to try and eliminate people or put them in spots so we can see that. That's all I'm trying to do.
Well,
Okay, so that's what, just relax.
Okay, the last thing you said was that we're barking up the tree. Is there a direction that you can lead us in to help us out? I mean,
you guys know. I ain't,
we talking about Suge Knight?
I ain't saying nothing, but y'all know.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Let me, everyone may have their own theories. Theories are just from facts. Here, you should just limit yourself to facts.
Okay.
Things you know, things you don't know. Don't get into what you think, because I don't want to get into what you think.
That's fine,
Well, I was up in this parking garage. Well, the car ain't been moved 6 months. GM been looking for the car since January, December. You can call and check with them too.
Yeah. Let me go back now. When you're in a parking structure and when you hear these people coming back or
Running in there.
where were they coming from? Did you recognize anybody
They were just running,
is possibly anybody that came running from on Fairfax in that parking structure that you knew that may have been out there, I'm saying, so they may have seen it. Did you recognize any stars, anybody that was running around from there or anybody? Okay. Did you hear any conversations with anybody that may have seen a suspect, a car, or anything while you were there in the parking lot, waiting to get out?
Okay, when you left, you made the right turn. Where did you go then after that?
What's that?
I mean, what was your destination after you left the party?
Dropped we went to eat, then I went drop Wonder Mike off.
Where'd you eat at?
Curious.
Jerry's in the marina.
Yeah.
Okay, and then where'd you go from there?
We went to went to drop Wonder Mike off. Then we drove in.
They live in Compton or that area? I'm just trying to direction of travel.
Wonder Mike in jail. In jail.
I mean, where you dropped him off?
He's in jail.
Where you dropped him off? I mean, was it Los Angeles, Compton?
Compton.
Okay.
So
So you got Jerry's on like towards Compton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then next.
Then I drop window prints on.
Okay, same area?
Yeah.
Okay, then what?
Went on, went to bed.
Which address?
1524.
You didn't talk to anybody else at all after? Just went straight home?
Yeah.
About what time was that?
What time was that? Maybe about 2 o'clock. 2 or 3 o'clock.
Oh, you haven't done it.
2 or 3 o'clock.
Went to bed between 2 and 3?
Yeah. And
That's AM, right?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, I guess I'm gonna have to talk to both of you about his car. Because I understand it was picked up in connection with this investigation. At some point, I would expect that you would either rule the car in and then keep it for evidence, or rule it out and have to, you know.
GMA made a claim against the car.
They have made a claim.
Yeah, they came and got it.
Okay, they'll made a claim. Okay, that's fine.
Is it, whose car is it?
It's GM's car right now.
Okay, GM's car, but how did you purchase the car?
No, they're not.
We get those pictures, this makes me car. We've been trying to keep the car down, so we sure where. This is the car? Sure.
Looks like it.
That's it.
Okay. So that'd be one of the California license plate 3 Nora Mary Robert 071, is it on it? Yeah, you got it.
Okay, who purchased the car?
You know who purchased it.
You don't wanna get into.
Well, I need to find, what's the history behind it? Is it registered to you?
No, it's not.
Who's it registered?
I think the registration, it's a public record.
That's the thing. What makes it your car? That's what I'm trying to find out here.
He had possession, he had control over that car. Now, if the MAC, who is the lead holder, is making a claim, of course, he's gonna respect that claim. You know,
That's between you and him.
Yeah, right, so we don't wanna get into that. But the car is registered, that's another public record.
Okay,
No.
the question is he didn't purchase the car, he's in possession of the car. How does
That's what we're trying to find out.
how does it make it your car?
Did you buy it from somebody?
Again, that car was parked in a garage or backyard, in the backyard, and he parked it there. He had use of that car before this incident.
You see,
How long
a simple question.
How long have you had possession of the car? Or how long has the car been in your possession?
What, July last year.
July 96? Has it been involved in any accidents or anything like that? Since you've had it?
Have I had it?
Yeah.
That I can remember.
And again, Detective Poole, our concern in terms of my not allowing him to answer more questions regarding how he got control of the car and so forth, have nothing to do with your criminal investigation. These are certain civil aspects of certain transactions that I don't want you to comment on. It's entirely civil. It has nothing to do with your criminal investigation.
Well, Mr. Paul, we're here just to get the truth, okay? And it's strange to me, something as simple as a possession of a car, it appears to me that what's there to hide? If it's your car, tell us how you got the car. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
But the point is, he has already informed you, he was there, he said he had control of that car
correct.
around this time period. So, if he was trying to run away from anything, he would say, I have nothing to do with that car, it's not in my name, it's not registered in my, I have nothing to, but he's telling you that he had some control over that car. So that means he's not trying to hide anything from the point of view of your investigation.
I'll make the determination whether it's.
Okay, that is fine, but he's here voluntarily talking to you. But in terms of any contract between GMAC and him and someone else and so forth, that's a question of contract between him and, he just doesn't want to get into.
Okay, we'll go on another track there. How many sets of keys are there to the car?
That you know of.
Yeah, that's your aware of, yeah.
Just one second.
Okay, who has that key?
I have the key. Y'all got it now.
Okay, that's the key that, what was her name?
Paula?
Paula.
Is Carli your girlfriend? What's her last name?
Close.
Oh, we talked to thousands of people.
No,
Remember
no,
all
no.
that is ridiculous. When was the last time you drove the car?
I pulled it out about 2 weeks before y'all came over here. My niece drove it to the prom.
Okay, that's what someone said. Paula said it, actually. Went to the prom or something.
And that was the only time the car been used.
For how long have you been parked back there, would you say?
To be tell you the truth,
Yeah.
it was up under the thing since August.
August of '96?
Yeah, up under the thing. If you go around.
That awning there, but on the side of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. It was up under there. Then GMC came around the corner and my parents' address, knocked on yours. He came looking for the car with the repossessors. So I pulled it in the back and shut the gate and locked. And he pulled up out of here, period.
Did you cover the car up or something when it was back there? I mean,
So when they first got there, it got covered over, got covered up, but I didn't have a long enough.
oh, scratch the cover?
Yeah, I didn't have a long enough cover, so the car was dirty anyway, I just kept it off.
And to your knowledge, who else has driven that car other than you? That you're aware of it, you remember. Who else has driven that? Other than Patrick, I know you drove.
Yeah, okay. Just me and him.
Okay. I mean, did you ever load it out to anybody for a couple of days or anything like that? Okay. Anything else in the file?
I have a lot of questions. But
Well, yeah, I know. About the, if you know, when the car was purchased, did it come with a sunroof?
No.
Okay. Then this side. Let's just about that, if that came with it or not. On the side, the driver's side rear, there's, it says Impala SS. Oh, here's a better picture, I'm sorry. Does that come stock or? I've seen it both ways.
You got the purchase it.
Oh, you do? Okay, when you bought this, the ones I've seen that are on the cars are black. So this didn't come with it or?
It's black, that didn't come with it.
Okay, so you put this, you had the, okay.
Well, the car did get wrecked though before too.
Oh, okay, what damage, do you know what part of the car was damaged or, well, there's no damage to now, it's fixed apparently.
Yeah,
Okay.
the driver's side. The man just backed up and came down the street, swat.
I gotta ask you, how
much did you pay for those tires? That's gotta be expensive. Did you see those? Those are beautiful.
This is show car.
Yeah, no, it was very pretty. Anything else about? Yeah.
Just to comment that such a beautiful car sitting in the backyard, collecting dust. Why is it?
I got a lowrider, got chrome, everything, everywhere. And they don't be what we need it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. A daddy truck I was in one day, driving down the street, get shot up, you know what I'm saying? A daddy truck. So I just,
What kind of truck is that?
The new truck?
and he got shot up. They dropped the police note, and I ain't been in no car where nobody know where I be in at all. Cause I ain't, to get all this press, all that, man, that's just putting my life in danger,
Well, what cars are registered to you? Do you have any cars that are registered to you at all?
No.
Do you just rent cars, or do you own any cars?
I don't know.
Okay. You drive other people's cars, like, does your girlfriend Paula have a car?
Yeah.
Do you drive her car?
Sometimes.
Oh, which car is that?
A 240, sometimes.
240 what?
The 240, the 240 Nissan. The 240 Nissan.
240 Nissan?
Yeah.
240Z?
No, that other little car. SE.
Okay, when we were over there, was a Toyota Land Cruiser or something. Whose car is that?
Her mother's car.
Her mother's?
Yeah.
And this Nissan 240 is Paula's?
Yeah.
Land Cruiser is her mom's.
Right.
Were you at any time involved in the purchase of this car at all?
What part?
This Impala.
I think it's the same question that I told you earlier.
I didn't do that. If you just think about what what I'm trying to get from you is you can call anybody, in that parking structure area when you first heard that he was shot or whatever. I mean, entertainers, anything you would call anybody, it might have been in that area where you were at. Might be sort of being, they may have seen something. But answer. The question is, okay, when he was walking there towards his car and he saw the people come running back around, my question is, did he recognize anybody, stars, whoever might have been running there, so I can talk to them and see if they need a witness, because they're coming back towards that parking structure. They may have been walking up the sidewalk on the east side of Fairfax towards Wilshire, where the cars are parked, and my hope was, well, you might find somebody that may have witnessed something. My concern. But, we've identified a lot of people, and we talked to a lot of people already, but I said, they didn't see everybody, they only knew a few people. Just like me, because you may know one or two people, you won't know everybody was there. So we have to sort of do the same thing to see if maybe they can get another possible witness. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I know, that's beyond the scope of what we had in mind. What we had in mind was, I'll come and tell you what he was, where he was, what he did, everything about him. But he made it very clear, he doesn't want to be involved with other people. And that question is about other people.
Okay, I think we're here to try to clear up some questions here, and there's several questions that up to now have been unanswered that I'm not satisfied with. I'd like to just interview him one time Yeah, because, you know, we still got many other people to talk to. And, I got many questions to ask. And, I mean, we're here all to get the truth. If he's not involved in anything, I don't see any reason.
I'm not lying, nothing.
Well, that's why I'm saying, well, why not answer some of these very simple questions?
Because I think you know the reason, Detective. You know the reason. There's some, he doesn't want to be involved. He doesn't want to get involved. He does not want to get involved. He believes that he knows he was there. He was not involved in this crime, and he doesn't want to be dragged into it in any.
So we should just drop all investigations?
No, of course
And
not.
say, hey, the hell with it.
No, you're doing the right thing. You're doing your job.
That's what,
I'm not faulting you at all. You're doing your job. You're going out, locating people, talking to them, and I hope you continue to do. I don't have a problem with it.
but I'm saying, I was gonna say, I didn't, you know, like I said, my concern is just to talk to these people, I get curious what they're into. Most of them we know we're entertainers of something.
Yeah.
My concern is, did they see something?
He doesn't want to be in a situation where word gets around that he says
Yeah.
this and
Do
he
you
says that.
think we told you where he got his name, or who told us about it? We don't do that.
No, the impression I have, this is my first time meeting you. And
No,
I
sir,
do
second
have,
time.
second time, and I do have a good impression of you, and I have no reason to question either of you. But he's had very bad problems with the Compton Police Department, and where things have been leaked out, putting him in a bad light. And he's very concerned
No,
about.
I understand that. That's why.
It has nothing to do with LAPD.
That's why we took our time and consideration and went through you. Because, like I said, if he was a suspect, you know where he'd be right now. Okay? He'd be in jail, and all I'm trying to do is, I do the same thing if it was your brother or your cousin, whoever got killed. And you can imagine some blood would talk shit to me. If they stood right there in front and saw it. Well, people gotta get out of this fucking mentality and start realizing that human life was destroyed.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay? And that's all my concern is, you know, this could be just a kid or any other guy, it had to be somebody who is famous. It doesn't make my job any different. As a human being.
Let me suggest something. Let me walk out and have a chat with him and we'll come.
Sure, oh, it's fine.
Because I have not discussed this with him. And one thing, the condition he made clear to me.
Oh, no, I understand. That's why I said that's what you two could talk.
He did not want to do anything.
Right.
That goes beyond talking about himself. Now, I understand what you're doing, and I again, I have no problem with it, but
Say what you
let me take a moment to
Sure.
chat with him,
Okay.
and then we'll see.
Give you a chance to run. You go right in the next room, or you can sit out here, whatever it's up for you. Okay, we just.
Okay, 4 minutes to spare. All right, we're going to take a recess for the evening. We're having everyone back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll see you guys back here 9 a.m. tomorrow. Please follow Marshall Spees. Please rise, please.
Well, that concludes testimony for the day. Let's see if the lawyers had anything to say after the jury leaves. But otherwise, we're going to hear the rest of that audio tomorrow. Sounds like he continues the interview at another time. There was a lot of nothing in that interview. It's obvious he didn't want to talk for fear of repercussions throughout the community and from the other police departments.
Or they're back. Okay.
Yara, can we approach?
Sure. Come on in. Up.
And a sidebar. I will say the attorneys work well together to speed the process along here so far with the stipulations that they have done and with communicating on witnesses and direction. So it's been pretty good. Oh, do I sound scratchy? Okay, hold on. Let me try to fix that really quick before they come back. Thank you for the input there. Hopefully it's resolved. Let me know if you're in the chat if that resolved, please, because I don't want to end with scratchy. Coming through now, especially the court feed and myself. Thank you for letting me know.
You're not in trouble. Don't worry. Come on up.
Mhm. It seems to be that there's something going on with comings and going, because this is actually one of the bailiffs in the courtroom. I believe. Actually, no. It doesn't look. Is it a bailiff? I don't know if that's a uniform he's wearing or not. The prosecution has a concern about something, though. But yeah, they seem to be. Perhaps it's media, but it's muted. Sometimes I wish I could read lips. Although it wouldn't be appropriate to report whatever I think they said anyway. There. It's muted for a reason, because it's not our business. It's not supposed to be out here for the public. And so we'll have to check articles later to see if anybody reports in the courtroom as to what happened or what they believe happened. And we can talk about it in the morning. Not sure yet, depending on the feed, whether I will actually go live again tomorrow or just record. But like I said, there will be every single day of trial in the playlist, whether it be a video feed or a live stream. Very curious, isn't it? What do you guys think is going on? There does appear to be a lot of explaining going on. I don't know if they're talking about mic locations or Okay, well, that's the end of that one. It does look like the feed just got cut too. Hold on a second. Yeah. It does look like that's over. Okay. That's it for the day. I don't know what that was about, but court is over for the day. They're not coming back. At least not on that feed. I'm not going to chase down another. Hopefully I can check some articles and find out what that was about. But for now, it's good night, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for those of you in the live chat. Thank you to my moderators who came to help keep everything cool. And to those of you watching, please feel free to call me, questions, whatever. You know how to reach me. I'm here to answer anything that you come up with. And I really want to hear from you because I want to hear how you think it's going, actually. So don't hesitate to meet me in the comments. For now, good night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Be well. Bear out.